Now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. It is the 13th day of October 2025. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. In studio, I'm with City Muga. This is Radio Generation, your the people's breakfast, rather, your home of hard truths and bold insights. City, habari asubuhi, wambaje kakwaje over the very long weekend?
It was a long weekend.
Yeah, it was a long weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, not Saturday, but Friday. People were at home just relaxing. Saturday kama kawaida. Sunday. So it's a long weekend. And guess what? This coming weekend is also another long weekend because Monday is a public holiday.
What are we public holidaying this time?
Mashuja.
Right.
Yeah, you remember there's some guys who are supposed to receive some commendation?
That is Kenyatta Day.
Yes, formally Kenyatta Day. Just like Mazingira Day, formerly Moi Day.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, long weekend zinakuja zikifuatana.
The year is over, you know.
It is, actually, because in another few days, we are crossing over to November. November, wanafunzi wangangane na their end of year examinations. My universities, by the way, speaking of universities, now that lecturers are on strike, graduation namna gani?
See, graduation better go on strike.
Yeah, itakuwa on strike.
Wajua ikiwa walimu hawako pia the process of learning pia haipo.
Ni kweli.
So wanafunzi hawako. So graduation is part and parcel of the process of learning.
True.
In the institutions of higher learning.
Oh yes.
The ingredients which make it possible for that function to be to be there. If they're on strike, then how?
Kidogo inakuwa neither here nor there.
Hiyo ni hiccup mzuri hiyo.
Yeah. Lakini si mzuri sababu unajua kuna watu wanangoja graduation so that they can apply to various positions.
Wajua,
locally and internationally.
Everything that you say is true.
Yeah.
But equally of equal truth weight.
Yes.
Is a simple fact that problems don't come out of nowhere. All right? And when you listen to the discussion regarding people who or institutions, organizations who through their people's representation or have gone on strike, what you call unions, there are usually reasons behind it.
Of course, for sure.
And when the law is followed, there's a very, very long process that is followed, lengthy years, before people can actually formally go on strike. So it isn't as though notice was not given. It isn't as though this matter was not discussed. It isn't as though there isn't a pain point. There is.
True.
You know, people who teach, teaching is a very, very, very different kettle of fish. Because you are working with people who are young.
True.
And one of the things that gives you great joy is seeing these people getting to understand and getting to learn and getting to move towards also achieving something of phenomenal repute over time.
Yes.
So for somebody who is in that space to suddenly decide they're not going to do what they're supposed to do, rest assured something has gone very wrong.
Absolutely.
There's nothing frivolous about it. They didn't sort of like say, guys, what should we do next week?
Can we go on
strike? It's a good thing to do, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So in agreement, for all who are in favor say, well, aye. Fine, 20. No. No. There's a lengthy process that takes place before people actually determine that they want to now go on strike.
Right.
What we should do, we'll invite some of our comrades who are in these institutions to come and enlighten us a little further and tell us what it is that they're actually striking over.
Shida iko wapi?
And this continuous, can this thing not come to an end? Because we've read about what and why, but can it not? What do we need to do to bring these things to a halt?
Yeah, true. The you mean the industrial actions?
Yes, because man, they kill many. Forget waste. They kill man hours. It jeopardizes the learning process of students. You've started a course, then you go home, then you come back. Surely, previous governments have tried to solve this problem out. Some have changed the timetable for learning. There was one disruptor of university learning. It was used to call JM Day. The day JM Karaoke was killed.
Okay.
And we would march. The unfortunate thing, it coincided with the time when exams were around the corner. And it also coincided with the time when we'd spent all our boom and we were broke.
Yeah.
So for people to take industrialized students to take to the streets was very easy. But if the government bothered to look,
it's like everything just was in.
Yes.
It conspired to make sure that this happens.
But the demonstrations never went beyond 2 p.m.
Yes.
Because people had to go and have lunch. And once you had lunch, they're not going back into the streets.
Unajua hivyo ndivyo wanafanyanga Uganda, by the way. Wakati wa maandamano ikifika saa 6 bwana, watu wanaanza kuulizana na hii lunch ni aje, and once they go for lunch they don't come back for maandamano.
I'm finished done.
Yeah, I got that from a comedian from Uganda. He was comparing how maandamano ya Uganda compared to maandamano ya Gen Z wa Kenya inakuwa. And he explained it better than I am explaining it right now. It was really funny. He was saying, he was comparing Kenyans, saying, Kenyans, these people do this, they decide, they organize, they're in the streets like from 6 a.m. Even the police are ready, they come with their batons, and then they
everybody's ready.
Action starts, and then there are people distributing water within the maandamano, and if it is organized, you can actually tell that this is a proper clash. He was saying in Uganda, first of all, you decide to go on maandamano uko peke yako. And when people do decide to join you, it's much later in the day. But they draw the line at lunchtime, because my brother, we have to go and eat, and of course we know what happens once you eat a very huge ugali. Hapo ndio maandamano inaishia bana, lazima tukalale.
There's a Ugandan minister,
a
very senior member of NRM,
right,
who made a comment regarding one of the opposition leaders, Bobby Wine. He said, look guys, this NRM laziness, I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
Let Bobby Wine say what he has to say.
Yes.
He has the right to do so.
Right.
Okay? I mean, what is he going to say? Let him have his freedom.
Yes.
Why do you people always think that when this man wants to speak, there's something wrong with what he's saying? And as Mafli can say, God Almighty, this is a very senior member of
the government.
Yes, exactly. And the minister, and he's saying, this is for interior, by the way.
Right. Oh, he's actually the Murkomen of Uganda.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's saying, guys, let this guy say what he wants to say. He wants to hold a rally. Let him hold a rally. What is the big deal? Now, you see, that is someone who is actually taking on his party members and saying, guys, it's not that there's something wrong with this guy, there's something wrong with you.
What did the maonge?
Kwani ataongea nini? So he's a Ugandan like everybody else.
See, he will go there and say the president is being like this and being like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, see, the day will end. And then the following day?
And then Ugandans might actually say, but this man actually is on to something.
Yes. And then?
They might now start thinking against the president.
Believe me.
No, someone has never come and told you, or rather revealed to you a problem you never thought you had, but now it becomes a problem.
Well, actually, it can sound like it's my problem.
Yes.
But one of the things you get to learn over time,
right,
is to distinguish between problems which are yours and other people's problems.
But you get what I mean?
I get what you mean. And when somebody does that, usually they're telling me about their problem, not mine.
So sometimes the people might be in trouble and they don't know. Then someone actually comes and points out that trouble. And then they start thinking, by the way, do you know this is actually a problem? Then now we do not want the problem.
Actually, we do know what our problems are.
Yes.
But as Africans, we also know how to live with our problems.
All right.
Okay.
We'll talk about Bobby Wine and the Ugandans and other people at a different time. But today I want to remind you that it is the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. That is 13th October 2020. It's the day celebrated every year. But now this year, of course, in 2025, we are reminded that indeed today is the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. Yeah, you can interpret that and decide how you're going to reduce risk of disaster. Either in your home, in your country, to your workplace, you decide. But it is the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. All right, 10 minutes past 6 o'clock. City Muga, do you, of course you do, but let me ask, do you have a methali for us?
I do. Remember, we were in the archipelago around Mozambique.
Yeah.
Now I decided, why go far? Let me just stay within Mozambique. So I'm looking at proverbs from Mozambique the whole of this week.
All right.
There's one which caught my attention. It's an interesting one. If you know what a crab is, it's an interesting creature.
Right. It's a sea creature.
It's a sea creature. Crustacean is what they call it. That's a family name.
Yes.
That thing walks sideways.
Yes.
Yes.
It does actually.
And it has claws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is what the proverb has to say. Remember, Mozambique has a coastline. Mozambique was formerly a Portuguese what?
Colony.
Yeah, right. The crab does not bite. This is what the proverb has to say.
Yes.
It is the handshake that hurts.
It doesn't bite.
No, it doesn't bite you.
It's the handshake.
But those claws that we refer to as claws, that's the hand. When he shakes your hand, the grip, my man.
Kuna vile.
Yes.
Utajua ujui.
Yes. Don't get carried away the way it walks. Don't get carried away the way it looks, because it's an odd-looking creature.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the human being, it's very odd.
Of course.
I'm sure that when these crustaceans have their little assembly, they'll say, these human beings are very odd. Have you seen how they shape? Just 2 legs, bloody. You know.
They look at us and just laugh.
Funny. First of all, anyway, but we find them funny too.
Yeah.
So when they extend their hand, now that's where the grip is. Understand where the grip is.
So basically, you're being told, according to me, how I understand this proverb, is brah. Find another way of greeting the crab. You can bow, like the way the Japanese do. You can wave also. You don't have to really shake the hand.
Yes.
Yes.
All these things are possibilities. And once you understand that, in life, there are many ways of skinning a cat. Yes.
Also, there are many ways of avoiding a problem.
How very to the point you are. So find ways of avoiding problems.
Problem.
Yes.
Yeah. You do not have to confront
No.
Sometimes in solving a problem can also be avoiding it.
Yes. Right. That often is a very good way of avoiding it. Yes. You hepa hiyo kitu.
Kabisa.
Yes.
Asante sana City Muga. Wakati ni mida ya saa 12 na dakika 12. Hii ni Radio Generation Kenya 88.8 FM in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, rgk.co.ke international. That's where you can find us, whether you're driving, flying, or you are just chilling somewhere at the beach. That's where you can find us live and direct. By the way, you can also watch us there, but you can also choose to listen, which means there's an audio version of us there, and there's a audio-visual version rather. You can also find us on YouTube at Radio Generation Kenya. Find us on Facebook, Radio Generation Kenya, and on all the other platforms at Radio Gen KE. So choose your poison, man, and enjoy it. I hope you had a very good weekend. As you prepare for the next long one, here's what's been trending in the last couple of hours. MP Diko Barrow condemns brutal killing of a lecturer and vows justice for victim. This is a story by Hussein Haji, posted about 4 minutes ago, and this is what it says. Garissa Township Member of Parliament Diko Barrow has condemned the brutal killing of Garissa Teachers Training College lecturer Ocheng Minudi, who was stabbed to death in Bulamzuri on the night of Saturday, October 12th, 2025. In a statement released to Newsroom on Sunday, the MP expressed deep sorrow and outrage over the incident. He described it as a painful loss to the lecturer's family as well as to the entire Garissa community and Kenya's education fraternity. The legislator said he is personally following up with the police and other relevant authorities to ensure that those responsible for the killing are apprehended and brought to justice. To Mr. Ocheng, of course, Mirudi and his family. First of all, Ocheng, rest in peace. But, City, there's a question I have.
Yes.
Why would anyone stab this lecturer in Garissa?
Let me put it to you this way. Whenever it comes to matters of crime, if you've observed over time, I don't comment much. You know why?
Yeah.
That information we've been given is scanty.
It's not enough.
We know he was stabbed.
Right.
Yes.
Beyond that, we have absolutely no idea.
Motive, we have absolutely no idea. Because as the story unfolds, we'll get to know who he was, how he lived, some of the problems he may have. There'll be a background to it.
Yeah.
Okay? Some of these things, there are those who believe it's just good to speculate. I don't.
Yeah.
Because we will soon know. Yes.
I remember we had a conversation sometimes last week, if I'm not wrong, and we were just talking about the way wezi wanaweza kakupata. Of course, this is we're not sure, we're not saying rather that Mr. Ocheng was attacked by thugs, but it just reminds me of that conversation where mwizi amekupata bana, si jamaa kuibia tu vizuri na aende, amekuja na silaha yake, wewe umesubmit, umemtolea, kama ni simu alikuwa anataka, ni pesa alikuwa anataka, wallet yako, kama ni handbag umempatia, bwana una shida na umse, then they end up harming you in the process. And you're like, why? I've seen certain videos doing trends online rather, and you see someone being robbed, but as the thugs approach him with a machete, for example, they start hacking him.
Yes.
I'm like, what? First of all, it's just one person you're attacking.
And there are many of you.
You're a gang, yes. So, clearly you can overpower this guy if you wanted. So why that attack? Najua mnataka kumshtua, but there are other ways of attacking someone without necessarily hacking this person. You could slap him if you really have to be violent. That is, if it really needs to get to that.
You know, there are those who consider thuggery a profession.
Oh,
yes, and let me be explicit.
Please do.
There are those who are what you call goons for hire. That's thuggery. All right? Mm-hmm. It's a profession in that they will use their might to do the bidding of the person who has paid. If it is a rally and they want to cause mayhem, if it is somebody who an individual feels causes them discomfort and they wish to cause him bodily harm,
yes,
they will engage such individuals. All right? There are those. Then there are those who believe that it is one of the ways in which they want to employ an economic term, a distribution of wealth,
right,
is by manhandling people. Some harm you, some knife you, some find crude ways of causing you bodily harm. Some even eventually kill you. Yeah. Then there are those who are burglars. They come into the house. Woe betide you if they're not professionals. The professionals plan, figure out, they work with the people who work in your house, they work with the security officers who guard the home. They know. No one is going to come to your house to steal if there's nothing to steal. And the only people who can inform them of what is there to steal are people who work there or people who know what is in the house. Now, many of the smart ones will come and rob you, and half the time you don't even know you've been robbed.
True. You only find out much later.
Because you've got this remote and you're wondering why
why there is nothing where...
Yeah, because you're looking in the direction where that gadget is supposed to be and the remote is, then there's nothing.
And you realize there's something that is usually
missing. Yeah, what is it? Yeah. Then you say, I'll look for it later. Now, those ones. Or you go into garage and suddenly you don't see your car and you're thinking, where did I park my car yesterday?
Actually, there's an artist, a very good friend of mine. He's well known, but he once left his car at a parking where he lives. Jamaa akaamka asubuhi akaangalia ile tracking device yake kwa simu, akaona my car is still here. He went on about his morning, had breakfast, and then dressed up. He was now heading to the parking lot to, run errands. When he got there, at his parking spot, the vehicle is not there. But on his phone, the car is here. Like akiangalia visually, it doesn't exist. Then when he went now to the parking lot just to confirm that he's not dreaming, and he wanted to walk through the parking so that he can just be sure that he's not seeing things or not seeing things. That's when he realized on the ground the tracking device had just been left there by the thugs. So they actually disarmed it, or rather they disconnected it, left it intact, and it was just there on the floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's somebody who knew.
Those are the professionals you're talking about now.
Precisely. Now,
right.
the fellows in training are the ones who cause you harm and who cause damage. Partly because they themselves are afraid.
Unasema watu wakiwa internship.
Internship ndio watakuletea shida.
Where? They are training on the job.
They'll cause you harm. Because they're not quite sure. They're also afraid. They know they might be caught.
It's not funny,
they don't know. Okay?
It's not funny, but it's funny.
Yes.
So that's about that. About that Garissa attack. We do hope that DCI will get to the bottom of it. There's another story here about a Mary University student who was arrested over fake NEC exam scam.
Oh dear.
Hey, bwana. Gen Z. So police have arrested a university student accused of running an elaborate online scam selling fake Kenya National Examinations Council papers. According to a statement by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the suspect, Crispinas Nandafu Naisuma, a 40-year student at Mary University of Science and Tech, was arrested at Kianjai, Tigania West Sub-County following an operation by detectives. The DCI said Nandafu is the mastermind behind an online syndicate operating under the banner The Teachers NEC Exam 2025. Yeah. During the arrest, detectives recovered 29 Airtel SIM cards, 6 mobile phones, 2 laptops, and several Safaricom and Telcom SIM cards, among other items believed to have been used in the scam. Bro, hustler. Sasa ndio mahustler. No, we've been told for a very long time, for the last couple of years, work smart, don't work hard. This brother of ours here was trying to work hard. Smart rather. Yeah, shida ni hiyo smartness yake ilikuwa outsmarted sooner than he thought. But he was running an elaborate exam scam online, bana. Yeah?
Yes.
He looks very young. If you look at his photo, he looks very, very young. He's called Crispinas Nandafu Naisuma, a fourth-year student at Meru University of Science and Technology.
Well, yes, that man clearly has a brain, and clearly he has focused his brain on nefarious activities.
Right.
Yes. Now, there are many things such a person can do. If that brain could be turned to more useful endeavors. What you will find is that whatever it is that he was involved in made him money.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. By the time the cops were on him, it means it was actually working and he was making money. And not just money, but good money.
Yeah, but it also tells you that somebody must have told on him. It's usually the case.
There must have been a snitch.
Somebody somewhere decided that no, they are going to let the authorities know.
Right. Acha nikwambie, ndio maana unasemanga, if you're going to do some of these nefarious activities, you need to do them chini ya maji vizuri sana. Na usi-involve watu wengi in your crime. Because there's always that one person who goes to the what is it called, to the club and just says, unajua bestango anakuanga anaweza kukusaidia na exam.
Or they've been paid and he was given his piece, his bit. Now he's high and he's saying, pesa unajua si shida.
Mimi nakuanga na pesa.
Yes, boss. Now he's trying to explain to you. Mimi sinione hivi. Yes. Mimi na rafiki yangu so and so. Kwa pesa hizo ni nyingi sana. Of course, and he keeps speaking. There'll be somebody who is drinking but is very alert saying this guy has money.
Ama upate ni Crispinas mwenyewe.
Yes.
Alienda kwa club mali akauliza, akaambiwa lipe bill. Akasema hii pesa ni kidogo sana, ongeza.
Yes.
Ongeza nitalipa.
Yes. Niko na pesa kama njugu.
Unajua nafanya nini?
Yes.
Unadhani mimi ni mwanafunzi?
Yes.
We, this is crazy.
Yeah, and in vino veritas, in wine there's truth. By the time you are adequately
in vino
veritas, in wine there's truth.
Yani kwa mvinyo kuna verification.
Kuna verification na ukweli mazee.
Okay, in vino veritas.
Yeah, usinione hivi yani.
Okay.
The things we do and say when we're inebriated. See, the thing about alcohol is a disinhibitor.
Right.
So zile mabreki nyingi uko nazo, the things socially this isn't correct. Those things fly out of the window.
Yeah.
You say and do things that ordinarily you would never, ever, ever dream of doing. Many people who have forsaken the process of inebriation have, should we say, found themselves in situations where their disinhibition has made them do things that... And they're told, and they say, and they realize, no, this one, I think it's in my interest to forsake this particular direction.
Yeah.
It won't help my life. And they leave it.
True.
For good.
True.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're involved in illegal businesses, please avoid going to the club. Kalonzo to Gideon Moi, take Ruto's job offer but dump him in 2027. Hey, hapa hivi kidogo bro. Hey. Bana, what kind of advice is this, bana? Anyway, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has urged KANU chairman Gideon Moi to accept any job offer that may come from President William Ruto, but join the united opposition when the 2027 elections arrive. Speaking on Sunday, Kalonzo said Moi should work with the president for now, but be ready to part ways with him during the next post. Sasa mbona Kalonzo asiingie basi afanye kazi na serikali alafu adamp serikali in 2027? See, he's been offered, from what we've heard, he's been offered, it's money, positions, according to him and his cronies. They say rather that they have actually been offered positions in cabinet and in other places, whether it's ambassadorial positions and much more. Tenders wamepatiwa kila kitu. Kamba inaji kujeni side. Sasa kama yeye alikataa, mbona anaambia Gideon Moi achukue?
I wouldn't know why, but what I do know is this. The terrain that is politics in this country is just about the most treacherous terrain anybody can actually come across.
Okay.
2027 is a really long way away. Between now and then, the best thing we can do is look at our history and look at the similarity of such incidences where a party that was in political power and who was running the government sought to bring in other people to help them run. That in itself is a good thing.
Yeah.
It means that our politicians talk to each other. But from the point of view of the citizenry, the question that is being asked and must continue to be asked is, how does this benefit us? How it benefits those political leaders we see.
Yes.
We know. But how does it benefit us?
As Kenyans.
Yes. What is it that is going to make our lives that much better? What is it that is suddenly going to change so that when we look at ourselves, we realize that this association that these fellows are forming is going to benefit us tremendously? What is it? Yes. And I dare say that if I was a supporter of any of these individuals, I would ask that question. We know how it's going to benefit you. We understand it. But tell us, how will it benefit us? Because in the absence of the support we give you, you actually don't have power.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what makes Kalonzo think that if indeed Gideon Moi supports the president up until 2027, then abandons him, that things are going to be any different for him? That is now as Gideon Moi for him, you know? And what is that thing that they think that if he joins opposition, the united opposition?
Bro, everything we say here, I tend to agree with you. When you're talking about something which in and of itself is a contradiction, there is no united opposition.
Kuna united opposition, bro.
Right. Carry on.
Even if we're not cheat. The point here is, what makes him think that sasa now that I'm a support president all this time alafu amerudi opposition sasa ati atakuwa tu accepted hivyo? What if akina Martha Karua watajisikia na hiyo time? Assuming Martha Karua kwa bado kwa hiyo united opposition. Wamalwa, what makes him think that Wamalwa watakuwa with open arms that my brother, you know, you've come back home? Personally, I don't agree with that advice. I find it very weird, but hey, I am just a radio presenter. I just hope it works out for them. Whatever it is that they decide to do. But yo, this yo kidogo yoache iende hivyo tu venye imeenda. Last but not least, you can check out other stories that are currently trending, making headlines in the last couple of hours. Kenya police among best globally, according to Prime Cabinet Secretary Mudavadi. Speaking of Prime Cabinet Secretary, it is said that if indeed Mr. Gideon Moi has joined the government, now they're going to create some deputy PCS positions, deputy Prime Cabinet Secretary positions for probably him and other individuals, or he's going to be a co-PCS to Musalia Mudavadi, or he even gets his own ministerial position. We're waiting to see how that pans out. But you see, and this is what I keep on telling Kenyans, that at the end of the day, bwana hakuna mtu anakuja. Kwani lazima ujoin gava in that position ndio uweze kusaidia country?
Wapi?
Uwezi kwa tu advisor wa prezo. Si Raila alijoin gava bila kukua CS. Na si yako pale hivyo anabonga na Orezo direct. Si pia Gideon Moi anaweza bonga na prezo direct, ama we'll have too many co-presidents?
I don't know. You know, the narrative was we had a crisis, and the handshake was to avert the worsening of that particular crisis. It is the same discussion that was had when there was a handshake. Let's begin with crises. Kanu was having a moment. Raila and his NDP joined them.
Yes.
We fast forward that particular story 10 years down the line, and we're in the year 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
We have another crisis. This one is of phenomenal proportions. We have people from all over the world coming in to have a chit-chat with us about this problem. The crisis and the aftermath of the crisis is still with us to date.
Yes.
So we move forward again, and we're talking about 2017. 7 years, a magic number. Yes. So we have a situation again, and we have another handshake. All right? And then this one, we break that particular pattern.
Yeah.
And we get to 2025, 2 years shy of the 7 number. There's another problem. We get another handshake. But the problem that we have here is of a completely different nature.
Yeah.
You have an entire group of Kenyans of a particular age who decide that they want to explain to the government in detail via a protest that they are not happy with the manner in which their lives are being governed. And we see it. It is hijacked. All manner of things come in. People get shot, people die. Young people get shot, young people die. We have a problem. And immediately after that particular problem, we are told there is another handshake. All right? Then now we seem to be in the season of other handshakes. There has to be a problem somewhere. I may not understand it fully, but there's a problem that has brought about the handshake or the discussion around it and the discussion about more handshakes.
Okay.
Now, the question about the opposition, and this is what I ask. When they were and are in the opposition, are they saying that being in the opposition cannot bring about stability into the country?
Clearly from these actions, yes.
I am of the opinion that they are wrong if that is the case, because the opposition does precisely that. It checks excesses of those in government.
It creates a balance.
That's the point. It creates a balance. Now, for this matter to have gone into the hands of this population that we have in the country, it's a clear indication that the opposition are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Because now the opposition feels like they need to be in government.
Yes, exactly. So this is what they wanted all along, isn't it? Now, there's a process we call an election.
Yes.
This is how we normally get people into government. We understand this idea of a handshake. I personally think it's an excellent thing.
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent way of solving problems. But when you solve those problems, the problems must include, at the very forefront, the problems that the citizenry of the country feel they have. So the question I ask again, are the problems of the citizenry being solved?
That, my friend Siti Muga, is the question of the day. Meanwhile, let's check out what's happening as far as the traffic is concerned.
Traffic.
All right, it is now 32 minutes after 6, 28 to the top of the hour. Look at Ngong Road, a little bit of traffic, pockets though, around the junctions. Going a little bit further back, no, not further back, across the county to Jugo Road. Kuna shida pale Makadara, but I am sure by now you know that. It's a usual spot. On Outer Ring Road, there's pockets of traffic also, especially on major roads joining that road. That is like, for example, Manyanja Road. Kuna traffic as you approach Palevo, Naivas Supermarket, East Gate, Ukoevo. As you're trying to join Ring Road, Outer Ring Road rather. Donholm, Kulevo, kuna traffic as you also approach the main highway. But yeah, that's about that. Everything else is looking fantastico. Airport North Road. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Airport North Road. There's a huge, very long traffic from this is Hornbill. Kutoka side za Hornbill as you're heading all the way to City Cabanas. Hapo traffic imekamatana iko bumper to bumper. That is as far as that is concerned. But if you see something on the road you think I should know about, well, you know where to find me. Holla at a brother.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right. Welcome back to the morning conversation. We are just about to get into the news. Actually, we are getting into the newspapers. Foreign jobs lie as rogue recruitment agencies mint cash. Foreign jobs lie, yani uongo. Foreign jobs lie as rogue recruitment agencies mint cash. Newfound happiness, relief for families in Kwale after mining resettlement plan. That story is on page 14 to 15. Tough law coming to crack down on girl predators and sexual violence offenders. That story is on page 12. Wycliffe Muga, Gen Z indifference to democratic process. That story is on page 16. Really, are they indifferent?
Read the article.
Yeah, are they indifferent though?
Read the article.
Okay. Woolworths boss, that story is on page 6. Business need sound policies and stable environment. That is Bagatini. Bagatini ndio mdosi wa Woolworths. Amesema businesses need sound policies and stable environment. And that's very true. Ignore planless opposition, says Ruto, and reveals talks with Uhuru and Raila. What do you mean? Ignore planless opposition.
Who said that?
President Ruto. Okay. As he reveals that he's talking with President Uhuru and PM Raila. Release them. For nearly 2 weeks, the families of activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo have endured a tormenting silence after their abduction in Uganda, with both Kenyan and Ugandan governments offering little clarity. Fears are mounting that the two free Kenya movement leaders are being held incommunicado by Ugandan security forces. Their disappearance has sparked outrage among civil society groups who see it as part of a growing pattern of cross-border repression in East Africa. That story is on page 4. All right. What's on your neck of the woods?
Well, mine is an interesting one. First of all, courier firms now, the new drug mules. Tax agents at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport were going about the usual check sometime in mid-June, trying to stop cheats using courier services to avoid paying Caesar's dues when a slightly damaged package landed on their desk. Owing to the damage, one could partially see what was inside and so forth, and they found it was drugs, the long and the short of the story. So it looks like what you said earlier on seems to be beginning to bear fruit in this sense.
Yeah.
Nairobi seems to be a hub or a transit center for people who are ferrying drugs. Yes, inaonekana.
Yeah.
All right. School riots, pain, fury over hefty fees. Parents complain that unruly students have become a cash cow for schools that are imposing exorbitant fees on all learners to finance reconstruction after destruction of property during riots. They are also faulting the schools over the heavy financial burden imposed on them as school managers capitalize on strikes to make a killing with additional demands for payments of all fees arrears prior to readmission of the students. The details of this is on page 6.
Yes.
There is something that brings about these riots. Reports have been written about these riots.
Right.
Riots that began as riots and complaints that later ended up in the burning of schools, later ended up in the burning of schools and children dying, the most famous of which was Nairobi girls. The young lady or the young ladies who was involved, a young person then, is now, in their mid-20s, going to 30s.
Yes.
It's one of those heart-wrenching stories. Children have died. This person who's being blamed is a child. You ask yourself what was going on through this child's mind. You ask very many questions, very, very many questions. Yet we don't seem to arrive at a point where there is a solution. There's a time when these incidences spike, and there are very many of them. Anyway, bang in the middle of the paper.
Yeah.
No, there's a story, justice. Family of Kenyan murdered girl. This is Agnes Wanjiru. Take fight for justice to Britain. By the way, it's 13 years. This is a 2012 incident.
Yep.
And if you look at the chronology of events, there's a certainly young British soldier who even went and confessed to his superior that he had been involved in the death of a girl in Kenya and even pointed to where the girl's body was. That's where they found the body of the girl. Now, this isn't the first time. In 1983, Mombasa, there was an
1983? Okay.
There was an incident in Mombasa. It involved a U.S. Marine by the name of Sandstrom. Again, a young Kenyan lady was killed. Bizarre circumstances. Even more bizarre was the court case in which the judge, I think it was a gentleman by the name of Harris, did not find that this young man had a case to answer. And I recall the young soldier's mother saying that justice has been done. Now, Sandstrom, I followed his story, left the military, but became a slave of alcohol. And he met his death in a grisly accident many, many years later. A year or two after that, there was a similar incident of a U.S. Marine. Again, there was the death of a young lady.
Yeah.
You see, the story then and the newspapers said these young ladies were sex workers. And I asked the question, so you are saying that because they are sex workers, then what exactly?
Their lives don't matter?
Yes.
Is that what they're insinuating?
Yes, is that what you're trying to suggest? And the stories even went on to explain what the problem was. It was a question of an agreed upon payment. All I'm trying to say is these stories, there are many, many years and decades have passed in between. All these women had children.
Okay.
Nobody tells you what became of these children. Nobody tells you what it is that happened. There was no reparation. Okay? Somebody died. Nobody's asking the question as to why it is that these young women go into sex work. It isn't as though when you are in school, among the career choices that you have is
prostitution.
Yes, exactly. You know, it's not. There's a reason why people go into that line of work.
Okay.
Now, is the reason being addressed? Because it's something that we clearly do not find acceptable. There are countries that consider themselves more progressive. They license it. So it's a job and you pay taxes for it. All I'm trying to say is, when you have human lives ending in such a manner and there is no conclusion, this is a market. It's an explicit way of telling us what value is placed on human life.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's no stone should be left unturned when it comes to these matters of someone dying. They did not need to die. They did not need to die. They were not at war. They were not fighting another army.
They were providing a service.
They were going about their business. Yes. Now let's read something that has gotten the headlines. This one should have been the headlines. But let's look at what's in the headlines. Game plan. President says he will woo more opposition figures. From hustlers to dynasties, Ruto changes tune. He swept to power on a campaign anchored on attacking prominent political families he blamed for the suffering of a majority of Kenyans. But in the quest to craft a winning re-election strategy, President Ruto is quoting the backing of so-called dynasties, page 4 and page 5. Well, citizens, if you wanted to understand that in most of these cases you're on your own, please take note of this. You are.
Uko peke yako.
You are. Because if this is a political move, and if I'm to believe what it is that the nation is stating, that this is a campaign strategy to try and see if they can re-energize the 2027 election, then it is about an election. So all the problems that you have and the things that you consider important to you and the pain points that you have, they're being summarized as this. They take second place to what it is that is required to win an election. Because this amount of effort ought to have been taken in trying to determine what it is that will benefit the citizenry. And you see pictures of politicians who've been there for the longest of times. And you're being told an association of these people will win an election. Does winning an election equal your lives being better? The answer seems to be no. It doesn't. It doesn't. So, if you think that you understand the politics of this country, please try and rethink it and understand it now. You are on your own. Yes.
Uko peke yako.
Yes. And these individuals who want to win elections and their ilk, they are also on their own. But they are the ones who wield the power. So, do the maths and figure out where you stand. Yes.
Good point, bro. I'm trying to look at this story here written by one Wycliffe Muga. Gen Z indifference to democratic process. It's on page 16, And let's just find out what the author thinks about Gen Zs and the democratic or electoral process. All right. The indifference is not new. We saw much of the same thing in 1991 to 1992 when the country, after decades of autocratic single-party rule, returned to multi-party democracy. Well, it's quite a story. Where do I start? I can't read the whole thing. I once had a very inspiring story told by a South African clergyman in the course of his sermon, and I remember walking out of the church with my friends and all of us agreeing that we had just had a remarkable sermon. But the odd thing is that I cannot now remember what the sermon was all about. What I remember is the story he told the congregation in the course of the sermon. It was about the first time in his life that he ever got to cast a vote. This was in the historic 1994 elections in South Africa, which led to the Nelson Mandela presidency. He told us how he waited for over 3 hours in a queue to cast his vote, and now he had tears streaming down his cheeks most of the time. He explained how he felt overwhelmed at the sheer majesty of the opportunity that he and the many ordinary people in the queue with him now had in deciding who would get to rule his country. This was an opportunity that apartheid South Africa had denied them and others before them in decades past. And that when he finally got to the front of the queue and went in to cast his vote, he was weeping and trembling so much that he could hardly mark his ballot. This was because he kept having vivid memories of his parents and grandparents who, being under the repressive tyranny of the apartheid state, had lived and died without once having the opportunity to cast a vote in a democratic election. This story has remained in my mind as an epic of the deep yearning of oppressed people for representative government, their desire to have a say in how they will be governed, and to be able to participate as actors in the democratic process. And so I remember this clergyman when the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission announced the start of voter registration here in Kenya. Thinking back on the Gen Z demonstrations of last year and all that went into it, I felt certain that we would see this kind of cues that South Africa famously had during the first democratic election in 1994. The long and winding lines of voters all over the country, which had led to the clergyman I mentioned having to wait for 3 hours to cast his vote. So I guess I know where this story is going. And it's about the turnout for registration. You remember for the last 1 week, every young person we've hosted here, I've asked them, hey, Bana, and not just young, even other generations.
Even the not so young.
Yes. So I kept on asking them, hey, what do you think about this turnout? The young people are not turning out to register. And they were telling me, move, it's early. Yeah, tulia bana. Hiki tusijudge na the first 2 weeks. Tuijudge ikifika, tukimaliza hii process yote. And I was like, but why?
Yes, why do you feel that a matter that you have presented as being urgent, the opportunity and the means by which you can bring about the change that you're talking about, suddenly it's not urgent?
Then someone else, I can't remember who, but they said it live here. They said, they've decided to make this register, like you need to go to your county constituency to register. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a legit office. It belongs to the people. Go there and register. So I have a question, because I registered as a voter kitambo sana. I can't even remember how I did it, but I know I went registered. If I want to register in Nairobi but I want to vote in Kakamega, is it possible, for example?
No. So
I need to be in Kakamega to register.
Yes.
Because perhaps there's some people who are thinking of it that way. So they haven't really had the opportunity. And this is just me, I'm just laying out scenarios here. Perhaps they are waiting for the opportune time to travel to their Kakamegas and their Kituis and their Tarakanithis to go and register as voters.
May I suggest something here?
Yes.
May I? Mm-hmm. I don't understand why you need to travel to your
constituency.
Yes.
Your shags.
You live and work here. Your life is being influenced here. What happens in your shags? How the people who are there will vote there. Yeah. The people who are there will register there. Unless you plan to move from Nairobi and go there and spend a lot of your time, you need to consider where you live, where you ply your trade, where you earn a living. Your life is influenced there. So if you're asking me where your vote counts there.
Yes.
Yes. The places you want to go to there are people there. If they are relatives, they will decide who it is they want to represent them. But on the other hand, this is the beauty of freedom. If you're waiting until the last moment to go and register, well, keep waiting then. That's a choice you have made, isn't it?
I'm reminded of a conversation we had here again with MP for Nambale. I think it was Geoffrey, Mheshimiwa Geoffrey. Yeah?
Yes.
And he said that at the end of the day, we might end up getting back into our tribal cocoons.
Not might. We are already there. I don't know why people keep talking about getting back there.
And that is why, we're already there. And that is why perhaps people are waiting for that opportune time to travel to their Ushago so that they can go and register in their Kituis, their Tarakanithis, and their Bungomas, for that matter.
I'm glad you brought it out. You see that thinking? It isn't alone. It is accompanied by other relatives. That is the thinking that is accompanied by the relatives. That is, unless someone who speaks your language is in a position of authority, nothing good will happen to you. And yet there's evidence that these people have been in power and nothing good has been happening to you. So that is debunked, no matter how you want to look at it.
Because, again, going back to 2007, and I'm sure we've been troubled even before that, but going back to 2007 when we had the post-election violence in 008, there was this situation whereby people now started thinking that, hey, Nairobi ni hotspot ya chaos. Unaweza kaa hapa hivi jo, vita ikitokezea Kibra, vita ikitokezea Mathare, you might be caught up in that melee. So I'd rather be safe in, like for example, like I'm in Kitui. I come from Kitui. I will be safe in Kitui because there I won't fight my fellow Kambas, for instance. So there's someone else who comes from Bungoma who thinks I will not fight my fellow Luyas. But when I'm in Nairobi, I might be profiled because I'm Kikuyu or Luo or Maasai, Kisii, whatever. So perhaps that has advised our vote, number one, voting patterns, and also our registration patterns.
How many years is it since 2008? We're now in 20...
It's been 17 years.
Precisely. So, have we had election violence? No. And the violence that we speak of are in our shags. People competing for one particular seat, people who speak the same language, have been perpetrating violence on each other. So,
alafu pia kuna hii situation, but huwezi compare violence ya ushago na violence hapa.
No, I can actually. I can, because the anatomy of that violence is the same. Okay? You have engaged people who have determined that is a career path.
But you see, you can't compare the one that, for example, you cannot compare the one that was in Kibra during the post-election violence of 2008.
Paul.
To any other place.
Extreme violence doesn't begin as extreme violence. This is really my point. It begins as violence. Once you accommodate the idea that certain problems are solved through violence, you are sowing the seeds of the sort of violence we saw in 2008.
I remember in 2008, people were even being attacked during funerals.
Chief,
so Community X.
You couldn't shop and reach your home with your shopping.
Exactly. Yandi, you're there burying your kin who died in the election violence.
And yes.
And as you're doing your funeral ceremony, you're being attacked by the same community that was alleged to have killed your kin. Yes.
Paul, that violence didn't come out of nowhere. There had always been violent individuals, and we'd never condemned them adequately.
Yeah.
So now they were given free rein. This is what happened.
Yeah.
They now had leeway to express themselves without fear. That is the problem. Violence is not something. It's sort of you can't have a pet cobra.
It is not a pet.
You can't have a pet leopard.
It is not a pet.
Those are not domestic animals.
They are wild.
If you want something that looks like a tiger or a leopard, get a cat.
So going back to Wycliffe Muga here, I get where he's coming from in terms of what he has written and his expectations, as much as I haven't read the full article. But I agree with, first of all, I register his disappointment, because I'm also equally disappointed. And if you feel, because you see, then at the end of the day, city, we live in a democratic country. If you really want to go and register in your shags,
go and
by all means,
please go
and register, but make it soon.
No, make it when you want. I actually do not have a problem with when we are voting. See, I'm worried about the thought process that leads to what we are seeing. That is not a thought process that will bring about any meaningful change. That is a thought process that will entrench the status quo. Yes.
This one of going to Shago.
This one of going to Shago to register. This one of looking for leaders who speak my language. It's the same thought process.
Yeah.
And the same thought process is what leads us to believing that you must be paid to vote. Now, there will be no change. Because right now, once you entrench what you call legacy politicians, you've entrenched everything that goes with them. Everything that goes with them.
Let me ask you something. What if I want to vote in Kitui, for instance, because the MP I will want to vote for in Kitui, or the person I want to support in Kitui, is going to help me in that area because there are certain projects. Maybe I have my farm there and I have interests and I need this politician or this leadership in Kitui County to ensure that my investments in Kitui are well taken care of. Nairobi, mimi nakujanga kufanya kazi radio generation na sina shughuli ingine. Yeah, I really don't give a damn about the roads, for instance, you know. And this is I'm not saying that it's the truth. I'm just laying out a situation here. So maybe I don't care about the roads. Me I'm okay. Maybe I drive an SUV, bwana. At the end of the day, mtengenezewe barabara, msitengenezewe shida yenu. Maybe mali ninaishi hapa Nairobi, mimi nimejenga nitoji kitu. Nimechimba borehole. Mimi niko na maji 24/7. So nyinyi mkizusha juu ya maji hiyo ni shida, mimi sitambui. So my interests are actually in Kitui. So I will register in Kitui, vote in Kitui, because at the end of the day anyway, I'm not planning to stay in Nairobi forever. I'm just here to enjoy my time. I'm just here to enjoy my employment. At the end of another 5 to 10 years, I'm not going to be here.
But it's a good scenario you've painted. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
What you hear me speaking of is not that you shouldn't support those who speak your language. It's this nonsensical pretense that we are not tribal. We are. And it is not a bad thing to be tribal. This is the other thing. It is not. Don't be fooled. This diversity is a wonderful thing. And it's a wonderful thing when you recognize this friend of mine comes from Cumberland.
Yep.
So when I visit him, I'm going to go to Cumberland. I'm going to go to Kitui. There is a conversation that is false. And that is what I am saying I do not buy into, neither do I subscribe to. Okay? We are a tribal nation, and it is a good thing that we are tribal. Yeah. It is a very good thing that we are tribal. And we must relish and we must enjoy this diversity and then learn to live with each other with our diversities. That is the thing that we must do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we need to host a couple of more Gen Z leaders, or young leaders.
No, we'll bring them.
To understand. I want to give a few shout-outs here before we go for that news break. Let me start with Luis Rudasingwa. Good morning. Have a great week. Well, Luis, you too. Have a great week. Douglas Kibogong, Morning City and Movie. Greet Edna. Chani kama amepokea. Edna, umepokea salamu eh? Amepokea. And Luis, I hope when you say have a great week, si ati ni leo pekee tumekuona and then atukuoni tena mpaka next Monday. Please, I hope we're going to be together till the end of the week. Douglas Kibogong pia, a good morning to you. Edna mesalimika. Robert, happy Monday team. Always a blessing to see you. Thank you so much, Robert. Douglas ameongeza comment hapa. Movie after night shift, I have to wait for the show. Otherwise, Perth is well connected via YouTube. Douglas anatuwatch kutoka Perth in Australia. Aya, at TCT, constitution is a text, but constitutionalism is a soul.
Yes, you put it well.
All right. Aya, My Take 2.0, always looking forward eagerly to listen to this great show. Well, thank you, My Take. Okwa Simiti alitupatia jina yake na nimeisahau.
Sijali, atakukumbusha.
Alitupatia jina na nimeisahau. But anyway, karibu sana Mr. Simiti. Nasema good morning my persons, my favorite City Muga and the protege, Mr. Mbuvi. Best wishes from here in Bungoma. Well, thank you Simiti for tuning in. Amesema the only united in the opposition is the word. I agree with City. Yani watu waoni united opposition iko united.
No, bro, which one?
But these guys keep on taking photos together.
We see a united government. That we see.
Yes.
Opposition.
Nothing. But Kalonzo, Matiang'i, hata wanashindana wakipigwa picha pamoja. What do you guys mean there's no united opposition? Anyway, that is in your eyes, which is okay. The only, Nakumbe City, this is Soldier Boy now. Nakumbe City, you were right. Sai Gideon ana catwalk kule State House. And then he goes on to say officially on RG, good morning and warm greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. Ati jamaa ana catwalk. Mnajua Gideon ni baba ya mtu. Baba ya watu actually. And I'm sure he's a grandfather to some.
Yes, he is.
Okay. They have Kenson Mugolo. Morning guys, watching from Jamhuri. I'm a security guard and enjoying the show. Good job. Thank you very much, Mr. Mugolo. Tuliambiwa watu wanaitwa siku hizi officer. Hii story ya kuita watchman tuache.
Officer, security officer.
Tuliambiwa tusiwaite tena watchman.
Office security officer.
It's okay. Your DNA can kick in. Officer.
Yes. That's called mother tongue assistance.
Exactly.
Yes.
Eddie Awino. Good morning, Charlie and the entire team. Good week ahead. Well, good morning to you too, Eddie. Thank you for tuning in. John Mutua anasema just say hi to City from Chef John nikiwa Doha, Qatar.
Asante sana kaka, uko mzima?
Haya, alafu kuna Tony Ochieng anasema morning to you my guys, we are still waiting endlessly for the lectures to resume learning. Usijali, walimu wakishamaliza kupigana na serikali watarudi na kazi itaendelea for sure. All right, so we're taking that short break. We move into the news and then when we come back at the top of the hour, we shall get into a different conversation. Remember, you can link with us on our social media pages at Radio Gen KE across all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's no way you'll just Google Radio Generation Kenya now to cause it. Sawa. All right, now though, we say don't go too far. We'll be right back. Here's the news with Winnie Makanga.
It's 7 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Police have arrested a university student accused of running an elaborate online scam selling fake Kenya National Examination Council papers. According to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the suspect, Crispinas Nadafu, a fourth-year student at Meru University of Science and Technology, was arrested in Kianjai, Tigania West Sub-County following an operation by detectives. The DCI said Nadafu is the mastermind behind an online syndicate operating under the banner The Teachers' NEC Exams 2025. Nadafu is currently in custody, undergoing processing pending arraignment. President William Ruto has expressed concern over poor state of Kenya's capital, Nairobi, pledging to restore its image and elevate it to global standards. Speaking at the African Inland Church Ziwani's 7th anniversary in Nairobi on Sunday, the president said he has held discussions with Governor Johnson Sakaja and other county leaders on plans to clean up and beautify the city. Ruto added that the national government will work jointly with the Nairobi County Administration and the private sector to roll out a coordinated cleanup and transformation program.
We must make sure that Nairobi presents the right image of the Republic of Kenya. Mimi nimeketi chini na hawa viongozi, nimeketi chini na MCS, walikuja kuniona, nimeketi chini na governor, nimeketi chini na wabunge wa Nairobi, na tumekubaliana mambo matatu ya muhimu ambayo national government itasaidiana na county government kuyatimiza. Jambo la kwanza ni kusafisha mji wa Nairobi. Nairobi cannot continue to be the city in the filth.
Stakeholders in Kilifi County are raising concern over a worrying surge in cases of defilement and teenage pregnancies. According to the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, between January and September this year, Kilifi recorded 420 cases of defilement, 52 cases of rape, 355 early pregnancies, and 14 cases of sodomy. Local activists have attributed the cases to high levels of poverty, where many girls are exposed to sexual exploitation.
Eneo hili linajulikana sana kwa dhuluma za wasichana na akina mama, na pia liko na takwimu iko juu ya wasichana wachanga ambao wameshika mimba za kitotoni.
Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro has questioned the impact of Nyota program, saying it is funded by World Bank loans but has shown little to no results on the ground. Speaking during the 25th anniversary of the Christian Foundation Fellowship over the weekend, Nyoro warned that Kenya's public debt has risen by more than 1 trillion shillings in just 8 months. He claimed that much of the borrowed money is being directed to projects that are either stalled or do not exist at all.
National Youth Opportunity Towards Advancement. Ile deni nimetaja, pesa haitoki hapo. Hiyo pesa ya Nyota ni pesa ya World Bank. Ni pesa ya Banki Kuu ya Dunia. Na kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba hata hii pesa Kenya inakopa mingi. Kama World Bank wanatupea bilioni 5. Si serikali ya Kenya ingeweka bilioni 5, wale youth wanapewa waongezeke maradufu.
The African Union Commission has called for calm and restraint in Madagascar. This follows escalating political tensions marked by army movements and mass protest in the capital Antananarivo. In a statement on Sunday, AU Commissioner Chairperson Mahamoud Ali Yusuf said the continental body is following the situation with deep concern, even as he called for dialogue among all parties to prevent further instability. On Sunday, President Andre Rajoelina had claimed that the attempt to seize power illegally was underway. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation. The time right now is 6 minutes past 7 o'clock. My name is Mungala Mbuvi and this is the People's Breakfast. Radio Generation, of course, your home of hard truths and bold insights. CT Muga is in the studio, but we also do have a political risk analyst. He's been here before. That is Dismas Mokua. Dismas, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation once again.
Good morning.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking in the previous hour about election and where people should, or rather why we have seen a slow registration in, in voters. Why do you think it is like so?
Well, in my view, I think for anybody who is not yet a registered voter, they need to understand that you've got many opportunities to change leadership in Kenya through having a voter's card. Then you can participate in the election. Actually, participate in those 6 elections, right from an MCA to the presidency. But if you don't do that, if you don't register as a voter, then all you'll do is spend time on social media, complaining about leadership, and maybe occasionally once every year go to the streets. But that is not sustainable. So you must go and register as a voter. However, Kenya has got an amazing talent that we've come up with amazing products, including M-Pesa. So Kenyans again have got a valid expectation that IBC would make the voter registration easy and exciting. If you can send a fortune up to, I don't know how much you can do on the mobile money transfers.
I think the limit for M-Pesa is $500,000 a day. Yeah,
now if you can do that kind of a transaction and the technology has been developed in Kenya, then it's possible for IBC to engage with these talents to come up with technologies that I can register as a voter on my mobile phone. I can actually select where I want to go and cast my ballot. Maybe we should even go to the next level that during voting you don't need to leave home to go and go to a particular polling station.
Right.
And obviously, you must immunize that technology from hacking. But as it is right now, it's important for people to determine where they're going to vote. And I listened to your prior conversation.
Yes.
I see, well, there's a bit of logic, but if you live and work in Nairobi, spend 99% of your time in Nairobi, in my view, there's no logic of moving all the way to Busia or Kakamega or Mombasa to go and register as a voter.
Or Musocho.
Yeah, to go and register as a voter. Because of the economic situation, the cost of voting, should be minimal.
Right.
On those days when you want to go and register, when you want to go and vote, when you go to the bus stops, it's like some sort of a movement that people are going back to the villages. So the cost of voting can actually serve as a disincentive. So in my view, and Americans have got a saying that we said earlier on, but because of civility, you can't repeat it.
Right.
But you need to vote where you spend most of your time.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
I mean, Americans, let me sanitize it. You need to vote where your abolition facilities are located. Yeah, so if they're located in Nairobi, if you pay your taxes in Nairobi, please stay here. And I'd like to depart from your earlier conversation.
Right.
That you've got a top-of-the-range vehicle, SUV. So you don't care about poor roads, say, in Nairobi.
In Nairobi,
Yeah, so you go to Kitui and cast your ballot.
Right.
Let your cousins and uncles and relatives in the village take that decision. Come and vote in Nairobi, where you work, where you get your income from, where you spend most of your weekends.
Yeah.
So these upcountry logic or voodoo logic that you got a very strong emotional connection with the village.
Yeah.
And you remember, that reminds me what Professor Bitangen Demo spoke about investing in the village and you're not going to use those assets. Yeah, but again...
Oh, yeah, like you build a very nice palatial home in Shags, but you're spending most of the time in Nairobi.
Yeah, because it's a social requirement that you need to have a residence in the village.
The emotional attachment we have to our rural homes. Yes.
Wanangi wakati wa mazishi bwana, when if you, God forbid, you pass on and then people come to your shags and then they start looking at your ushago and say, yani Dismas, yani alikuanga Nairobi successful lakini ushago ana kitu.
Fine. How long will they have that thought process?
During your funeral.
And thereafter?
They wait for the next funeral.
So what?
Yeah.
And I think the point that City is making is that maybe we need to start immunizing ourselves from societal and peer pressure to take decisions, which at the back of your mind, you know that it's not very logical.
True.
But because society expects you to do that, you see now, like, during those voting days, capital cities become ghost towns because everybody has gone to the village. And then you come back to Nairobi and complain about leadership.
Yes.
Yet you don't even know your MCA.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, there are so many angles that we can tackle this whole issue of why vote here, why not vote there, why are you going to Shago, why migration during election cycles. And unfortunately, I think it's a Kenyan thing, and it's been really deeply entrenched. Like me, I'm telling you, because of how elections were being held kitambo. Elections ilikuwa zinafanyika December, so you find that you have to travel to Shags for the Christmas holidays, and by virtue of that you register in Ushago, because at the end of the day anyway Christmas itawapata wapi. But now we moved away from that, and perhaps I will, and I'm not siwatetei, but I'm saying perhaps those are some of the traditions that we haven't really let go of.
Yeah, but you have to abandon traditions that don't make logic. You remember during COVID, people actually came to, I appreciated the fact that somebody can be buried on same day. You know, people from Western Kenya, you know, a funeral is
was
an
a
elaborate
celebration
thing. And even leaders, opinion leaders and thought leaders have said, wait a minute, funerals from this part of the world actually cost a fortune. And then during COVID, he said, oh, so it's actually possible to get the body from a mortuary in the morning, lay the body to rest, and people go back to the city
by midday.
Yeah, by midday.
Yeah,
so
it's very possible.
Yeah, so people need to interrogate all these traditions, even find out the source of those traditions. Like, for instance, in my community, because the old men were selfish, ladies were not allowed to consume chicken. There's no logic to that, but...
Wait, it wasn't a specific part, it was the whole chicken.
Forget about the one in Luya, about a particular part.
Imondo or
it's
something.
Not just Luyas. Even the community I come from, children were even taught nursery rhymes about the parts of the chicken and who eats what and when. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I know these are old men who sat under a mango tree and said, how do we safeguard our interests? They said, ladies shall not consume chicken. And then others went into details, maybe the breasts or imondo, whatever it is. But nobody remembers that these were people having the traditional drink under a mango tree and said, okay, how do we secure our interests?
Yeah.
So, you know, they had veto power, like the UN Security Council.
Right.
So they passed the motion and then it was adopted. Nobody ever questioned it.
All right. At Dismas, I would like us to talk about this whole election situation at a different time. So, and perhaps we shall even tackle it in our conversation today. There's something on the front page of the Star here. I don't know if you've had the chance to look at it, but it's about the president was telling the public to ignore planless opposition. And then he has revealed that he's in talks with President Uhuru, former President Uhuru, and former Prime Minister Raila to more or less galvanize his government and move towards 2027 and beyond 2027. And I want us to focus on this planless opposition part. Is the opposition really planless?
Before you go to the opposition, when you look at President Ruto, in my view, is a master in coming up with strategic narratives. The last election was all about hustlers and dynasties. And President Ruto made everybody believe that the economic situation we're experiencing was because of the so-called dynasties. And he was able to rally the entire nation. He came with a very powerful message, which was both emotional and rational. So he galvanized everybody, and he was able to go to State House. But having settled at State House, he's looking at the 2027 variables, and he says that message is not going to sell again. He has to come up with a new message, and he has just realized that while he describes himself as a hustler, you've got the so-called dynasties who can actually run him out of town. We are made to understand that former President Kenyatta is extremely wealthy, and we are also made to understand that Gideon Moi is extremely wealthy. Now, if the two combine their resources plus Mr. Raila Odinga, the probability does exist that they can run President Ruto out of town, especially if they decide to support one candidate. But again, Gideon Moi and Uhuru Kenyatta are very prudent businessmen. I think they place a huge premium on their commercial interests. And when you look at the common denominator, the two, either they were born within the State House precincts, or they were brought up within State House, and all their entire life they've interacted with something called GK.
Okay.
So they understand the impact of power and authority.
Yes.
For Gideon, his father was president for 24 years.
True.
So he knows that without power and authority, it's like fish out of water. President Kenyatta has been president for 10 years.
Right.
And President Kenyatta's mom is a first lady.
Yes.
So he also knows the meaning of power. Without power, he is a fish out of water. And I think they've said our interests now are converging. Let's do this, and everybody else is going to dance to their drum beats.
So you're saying the dynasties have now come back together?
They've not come back together. They never separated.
They've always been together.
Yeah. In political science, there's a subject they call elite decision making, where the most powerful people in society, either in terms of power, wealth, whatever it is, they come together, they take a decision, and if you decide to dance out of tune, then you'll be punished. Yeah. So I saw some people criticizing Gideon Moi for taking this decision. But I suspect if you're in Gideon Moi's position,
right,
you would ask yourself, what decision serves my best interest? Now, let's go on the flip side. Can you imagine if Gideon Moi would have run for Baringo Senate and won? It would cause a storm and a stampede in Rift Valley.
How so?
Then people, if Gideon, Rift Valley is supposed to be President Ruto's stronghold.
Right.
And you have the so-called dynasty member running for Senate and beating your preferred candidate. It would cause a storm. Then people would say, now the one-term movement has crystallized, and Gideon Moi would come up now as the symbol of one-term.
Yes.
And then there would even a probability that Gideon Moi, given his resources, he would even challenge Ruto for 2027 elections. Because he would say, you are now the head of state, you've got all this power, machinery, everything else, but I've beaten you. And I also understand the candidates, the UDA candidates, and with all due respect, is really not somebody you would expect to go to the Senate and present positions. So, again, it demonstrates that for some reason, we've got an insatiable appetite for mediocre leadership. Yeah.
Professor Herman Manyora sat in that same seat that you're sitting on right now a couple of weeks ago, and he said that for you to actually capture power, you do not say the truth, because the truth will actually not give you that power. Of course, I'm paraphrasing here. And he was saying in very many words that there are certain things you have to say, certain things you have to do to capture power. Then once you capture, you can do the crazy things that you wanted to do. For example, President Ruto promised Kenyans a lot of things when he was campaigning before 2022. And those things resonated with Mwananchi. And eventually he captured power. Then once he captured that power, he has gone on to do a different agenda from the one that he actually promised Kenyans. So whether he changed his mind before the election, during the election, or after the election, I do not know. But the point is, much of what he promised, he has not delivered. Now, looking at what is happening and what you've just told us about former Senator Gideon Moi looking at his situation, and was like, what really serves me as Gideon? It's not what serves the people of Baringo or the people of Kenya. It's about me.
An effective leader,
right,
when they're crafting their campaign strategy, they make unsuspecting voters believe that is actually pursuing the voters' interests.
Yeah.
Majority of the elected leaders, a good number of them are looking for jobs. So essentially during the campaign period, they're presenting their CV.
It's actually true,
yeah. And then another majority, they're already wealthy, and they're going up the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Right.
That I've got this kind of resources, now I need to sit at the top. That is why you remember we spoke last time that you have two types of political leadership. The first one is the political cunning leadership. They know how to craft an election winning strategy. They know how to create messaging. And then effortlessly, they'll win. And then there's a second level, which is the political conscious leader.
Right.
That now, having assumed office, how do you govern the nation with the public interest in mind? Normally, the challenge is how do you mix? And you remember, at some stage when then Ruto, the deputy president, as then he was, when he was doing his campaign towards the election, he looked at the scoreboard and said that every single politician in Kenya was running away from him.
Yeah.
And nobody was even taking his calls, including some people within the cabinet. Because then, if you make a call to William Ruto, you may end up being in trouble. And you recall the earthquake moment when Musalia Mudavadi said that I'm going to work with William Samoei Ruto. Majority of Kenyans then rolled their eyes and said, what? Musalia Mudavadi to work with William Samoei Ruto. Then a few moments later, you saw now the Moses Wetangula, then Amason Kingi, and people have come. And then there were predictions that at the end of the day, everybody would come round. And right now, the only person who is remaining is Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's the one who is standing. But
is he the only one really standing? Because we have Kalonzo, we have Martha Karua, we have Eugene Wamalwa. And others I'm forgetting right now. Some, proper principles.
No, we are talking about the people who've been in the political space for a while, who have served under President Moi, under President Kibaki, and maybe under President Kenyatta. People with political influence, people who can easily change the needle in Kenya. Now, then you talk about a united opposition. In my view, the weakest link in the opposition today is Mr. Rigathi Gachagua.
Really?
Yeah. And if Dr. Matiang'i or Kalonzo Musyoka, in fact, want to secure the presidency, then they need to know how to manage Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. Is the weakest link.
Manage how?
Give him credit. Right now, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is probably the only Kenyan who can look at President Ruto in the eye and tell him, I don't like what you are doing. And he can actually call out because he's been in the system now for a very long time.
Right.
He's been coming up with revelations and he's very good at creating narratives. So actually now Rigathi Gachagua is playing the role Mr. Raila Odinga used to play a long time ago. When people want to raise an issue in the public space, they look for Rigathi Gachagua, they give him the information. So he's becoming a very powerful opposition leader. But when you look at the United Kenya opposition and understand that Mount Kenya is generally agreed that they're not going to present a presidential candidate, but he wants to be the prefect of the opposition. He wants to be the king of the opposition. And a few days ago, he said that I'm the opposition spokesman. That if you want to speak to Kalonzo, you want to speak to Matiang'i,
you have to go through me.
Yeah, talk to me first. So he's becoming a broker, and he wants whoever is going to be the president to be some sort of a lapdog. He would like a puppet, somebody he can blackmail. But can you imagine that Kalonzo Musyoka, with his experience, would be somebody's lapdog?
Of course not.
No.
What of
he has asked, would you expect? So
what of Matiang'i? Now it's for those two reasons that is the weakest link. Because if you're allowed to be Rigathi Gachagua as lapdog, then there's this concept in law they talk about de facto and de jure. So who will actually be the president of the Republic of Kenya?
So we're saying that if that goes on, then and if Kalonzo wins the presidency, that would mean that Rigathi would become a de facto president.
He'll be the one running the show, and if you don't dance to his drum beats, he would actually impeach you, because there's a very high probability that if they do not move these variables, that the Wominyoro-led DCP would potentially have very many seats, both in the National Assembly and Senate. And if the elected members of the National Assembly and Senate are loyal to Rigathi Gachagua, then he would... the same way Raila has got control over ODM, his word is as good as law. And if Kenya is not careful, then you're going to get another Mr. Raila Odinga. But this time, an extremely selfish gentleman, because he wants to use the 2027 general elections to settle political scores. And if you're using general elections not to usher in a solid leadership, but because you want to settle the political scores, what Kenyans need to ask themselves is whether they are aligned to Mr. Rigathi Gachagua's interests of using the elections to settle political scores, but not to take Kenya to the next level.
Let me ask, how exactly are we comparing Rigathi Gachagua with Raila Odinga? What are the comparison points? Where are the similarities?
Influence.
Because when you look at...
where are the similarities, even in influence?
When you look at ODM today, the only glue holding ODM together is Mr. Raila Odinga. Is actually we're being told in high school that there could be synonyms. Raila Odinga is the person with ODM, and the same thing with DCP. There are many people with political parties within Mount Kenya, and Mr. Gachagua did not have issues with them till Jubilee checked in. Then he said, no, we cannot run like this. So if he's able to control a number of MPs at the National Assembly and Senate, because, right now within ODM, Raila is probably the only person who has got capacity to inflict pain and offer pleasure within the political party. And that is what life is all about. Most of the things we do today is because of the fear of pain, or, you want to look towards, like, for instance, when you go to a 5-star restaurant and you're having your 5-course meal with a single malt whiskey, you like the pleasure, you enjoy it. So you're motivated to wake up early in the morning, come and work.
Right. And
you're also motivated, if you don't come up early in the morning to come and work, you may not pay your mortgage or rent in time. And because of that pain, even if you really wanted to sleep late, you jump out of bed.
Right.
Now, Mr. Raila Odinga can build political careers within ODM, although a few people left, including Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, Amason Kingi, and they got opportunities elsewhere. But in a good part, if you don't dance to his drum beats, you'll be in trouble. And that is the same thing that Mr. Rigathi Gachagua wants to create within DCP and the United Opposition.
The fact that President Ruto is in talks with former President Uhuru, isn't that what he's now trying to do to dilute the influence of DCP in Mount Kenya? If at all, because I'm sure Uhuru might not necessarily join the government, the Jubilee Party rather might not join government, still remain in opposition, but be a very strong opposition to DCP, so that DCP cannot have the kind of influence you're talking about.
I mean, before the Jubilee NDC, DCP was seen as the only political party within Mount Kenya that anybody who had interest in running would join. And that's why you've seen a scramble for Rigiji.
How old is DCP?
A few months
old. Yeah. But Rigiji has been around for a while.
In these few months, you're saying that DCP has gotten to a point where it is the dominant party in the mountain region.
And that is how he has positioned it. And when you look
is it the reality?
There is an element of, there are facts which can support that. But now with the entry of Jubilee, then people will have options. Because when you speak to a majority of people from Mount Kenya, they may not necessarily like Rigiji's brand of politics, but they did not have an option. So they have to be seen to be dancing with him.
I'm afraid they have always had options. Maybe the options are not their liking, but they are always
viable options.
How many political parties or how many are led by individuals from that region? There are very many.
Yeah, there are many. I mean, Munya has got a political party, Mwangi Kiunjuri has got a political party, Muturi has got a political party. There are many. I think probably 21 political party is led by politicians from Mount Kenya. But the question is whether they are actually viable and whether the party leaders have got that kind of capacity to mount a campaign or to counter Mr. Rigathi Gachagua.
Let me take my mind back to the time when Kenneth Matiba was vying for the presidency.
Let the people decide.
Yes, it was for the Silly. He had a following that was outside central Kenya. The support base was central, but he had people who supported him from very many other parts of the country.
Yeah, Western, Nyanza.
Yes. Do you see that of DCP?
I don't see that as of now because of his brand of toxic politics. If you're a person, say, from Busia or Mandera, and you want to be associated with DCP, but every time Rigiji goes to the podium, takes a microphone, he says, "Sisi kama watu wa Mlima, sisi kama watu wa Mlima." So if you're a fellow from Kisii or from Busia, you do not necessarily identify with that position. I mean, the way he's behaving today, he says Murima has got 7 million votes and they're at his back pocket. He will transfer the votes as he deems fit. So even for people outside the Mount Kenya, who are actually aligned or who find his brand of politics very pleasant and very exciting, they've got challenges associating with him. Because if you're talking about sisi kama watu wa Mlima, and I'm a Kisii man, it means you don't include me in the conversation. Why would I want to support you? Because I don't see my insurable interest in your political party nor candidature.
My point exactly. So much as you could argue that there's evidence to support the view that he has some serious and sizable support within the mountain region, just that support alone, how far does that get you if you're talking about political currency?
It will not take you places, but it will be a key plank, which is why we indicated earlier on that for Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka and Dr. Fred Matiang'i, if they want the opposition to remain united, and I heard you saying they're only united,
In
name, is to manage Mr. Rigathi Gachagua.
I don't. You see, I'm puzzled. The reason I keep asking this question.
If they are indeed united.
Yeah, you see, I'm puzzled. If you look at the trajectory of how it is regions vote, where you are spot on is everybody wants to be as close as possible to power. Do you really think that if your support base is specifically from one region, that even those people who seem to support you now will support you when there is evidence that the power structure and the presidency might go to somebody from another region? In this country, that vote will shift in ways that you will not actually believe.
You know, the Kenyan voter is very complicated, and I come from a community at some stage when the late Mr. Simon Nyacha wanted to become president, and they all knew he didn't stand a chance. The probability of him becoming president was zero. But to the last man, they cast their ballots in favor of Mr. Nyacha.
Explain to me, why did they do that?
You remember, again, we are told stories that he was about to cut a deal with Mr. Raila Odinga, and Mr. Raila Odinga was going to say Nyacha Etosha. And then the small distance from Nairobi Serena Hotel to Uhuru Park, there was a Damascus moment. Something happened. And before Mr. Nyacha knew, it was Kibaki Etosha. And in an act of fury, and Mr. Nyacha said, mi naenda paka mwisho wa laini, I'm going to run.
Yeah.
So he was running for presidency knowing that the probability of winning is zero. And majority of the people voted for him knowing that probability of winning is zero, because the typical Kenyan voter becomes very, very, very complicated.
And what happened after casting that vote, which, as you correctly put it, the gentleman did not win? Then what happened?
He found his way back.
Back where?
To the administration.
Precisely. He could have found his way back into that administration without necessarily standing.
But he decided, in an act of bravado, he says, he banged tables and said, I'm a man like Kibaki, and I'm a man like Raila Odinga. I want to teach them a lesson. So I think it was something, some sort of...
he was proving a point.
He was proving a point.
You know what is strange?
Although he scored...
You are right when you say our voting processes are strange. I am of the view that man might have made an excellent president. My view. You see, he had the sort of qualities that makes for a good president. In that, he was not one of these fellows who went with the wind. He was not easily shaken. He understood government intimately. He also understood power, given what... By the time you're head of the civil service, you are a really powerful person. At least at that point in time. In my opinion, he could have. You know these number plates that change, the one, the green, the blue? Well, that was his innovation. This gentleman, Matiang'i, was, I think, his PA, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
But he worked within that setup.
And a campaign strategist.
So by the time Matiang'i came up with this yellow...
school bus.
Matiang'i had studied in the US. It is something that he saw. Now, that is clearly a man who knows how to implement a good idea when he sees it, because he saved the taxpayer a lot of money. I'm simply trying to say this. There are people who have shown great strength in the way they do things and in the way they lead. Now, where the voter is funny is this. There's a quid pro quo the voter expects. I can't even claim to fully understand it. And it is what often determines why voters support a certain leader. Because I sometimes look for the logic. I actually can't see the logic. But there is a reason. Again, I am told the reason, and if I think logically, I don't understand it. It is why you hear me asking this question about, all right, as of now, it appears one Mr. Rigathi Gachagua has a following. And I'm simply saying, he is not the first one in that region to have a following. Mwai Kibaki, in his time, had a following with his DP party.
Let me buttress your points. Now we have evidence in Kenya that anybody who has served in the provincial administration of the old, when they go to politics, they've got stellar outcomes. We'll start with Mr. Nyashai, as City has demonstrated. He joined the civil service, Actually, his only work was in the civil service.
Yes.
I mean, joined all the way as a cadet.
He worked as a brewery for a short stint.
Yeah, as a cadet, I think a cadet at DO, and rose to the top. So he knew the civil service like the back of his hand. He was a very, very powerful politician. Sorry, a powerful civil servant. Yeah. And also
was
when
he
was
he PC?
Yes, he
was
was.
a PC, PS, head of the public service.
Yeah.
He was everything one would ever dream of being in the public service. And during those times, you remember when you listen to KBC News Bulletin, after they've indicated the president was at a certain function, then they say president among others. They would actually start with Mr. Simon Nyashai before naming the cabinet ministers who were present.
Right.
Because he was a tough gentleman.
And he was secretary to that particular cabinet.
Secretary to the
so that
cabinet.
you understand.
And then you had the late Michuki, who had also spent a lot of time within the administration. Michuki, when he was given any docket, he would shine. You give him environment, he shines. You give him transport, he shines. You give him the national treasury, he shines because he knows everything about the public sector. Right. And then also about the politicians who joined the public sector when they were very young. Somebody like Salem Davadi, who now who has understood how the government works very well.
Right.
Such kind of people tend to have stellar results. But when you get people coming to the top, like for instance, Dr. Bitang Ndemo, when he joined the public sector as a PS, he had challenges understanding how the public sector works. So it will take you up to 1 or 2 years really to understand how the system works. And in part that explains why majority of the principal secretaries today are just floating, because you are plucked from the university or from the private sector. You land as a PS with the private sector mentality in mind, that you want to maximize on profits. You are looking at shareholders. You are thinking about an AGM. But for the public sector, the AGM comes once every 5 years.
So we are saying that getting technocrats into a bureaucracy is an
not to head a bureaucracy. It creates problems.
Actually, if I had a position of influence or authority to speak to President Ruto, I would suggest if you want to create change within the public sector, there must be a crop of public servants within the public sector who can occasion that change. All you need to do is fish out for them. Because, you know, a typical public servant who joined straight from university, they've gone through so many programs. Like now we keep on complaining about maybe the economy is being mismanaged or managed in a particular manner, but you've got a brilliant group of economists seated at the National Treasury. Some of the sharpest tools in Kenya. The challenge is that they'll come up with all these briefs, they'll come up with all these proposals, but it's politicians who take our decision. These same public servants, these Kenyan talents, if you go to Rwanda, you'll spot them somewhere. You go to Botswana, you'll spot them somewhere. In fact, you are told...
that southern region, yes, Lesotho, you'll find them there.
Yeah, they're even in Sudan, they're in South Sudan. Right now, they're in Somali, they're in New Zealand. They're all over the world. These are guys who have attended St. Mary's School, Yala, or Mangu, or Alliance, the University of Nairobi, maybe Strathmore.
Right.
But you know, when you are sitting now in the public sector, you are seated maybe at a director level, you just come up with a proposal, and it's the politicians who are going to take the decision. And you remember, for some reason, we have not embraced the democratic meritocracy, that again, we elect the sharpest people. So the person who is taking a decision has got a 5-year time frame in his mind, that how will this decision affect the next election
eligibility to be okay.
That is why in some countries like China, they're very specific on how you get into office. You don't just scroll from the woodwork and say you're going to run for political office. People start noticing talent from a tender age, and you are groomed and you are prepared. You understand how to run a state. Understand in France, they actually got a school, the equivalent of Kenya School of Government, where before you hold a position, you actually understand what's Kenya's interest. But we have a similar program at the National Defense College. Yeah, but it appears like majority of people take these critical decisions in Kenya.
We graduated, we now have the National Defense University.
Yes. Yeah, but now the Constituent College, the one in Karen, is where these people, it's a master's program where people go understand what is Kenya's grand strategy, so that you understand. Because if you're heading the education docket, maybe as a director, you need to take decisions within your docket which supports Kenya's grand strategy.
Right.
Like for instance, and we've said this times above number, how come we don't teach, say, Arabic or French or Spanish in our schools in Kenya,
Okay.
and yet we want to be a global power? We've gone to Angola. Angolans are crying.
We teach French.
Yeah, but how many Kenyans actually speak French?
Not many.
We also teach German and
Yes.
Spanish.
Yeah, but I'm just giving an example. Like for instance, if you go to Angola, there's a high appetite for Kenyan English teachers. But can you imagine that if our teachers in Kenya understood or spoke Portuguese, they would go there and get jobs. Even part of the reason why we get a problem with the Middle East is because we don't have Arabic as a language. Can you imagine these people are going to work in the Middle East, speak Arabic and understand the Muslim culture and the philosophies and ethos? They would not be having issues. Kenyans would be going to Brazil. They would be going to Argentina. But now we only speak, your mother tongue, Sheng, and English. But majority of the people, you notice that majority of
Kiswahili.
Yeah, majority of the people work for the United Nations and those international agencies.
Multilingual.
Yeah, they tend to come from West Africa.
Okay.
Because they speak English and French. So for us, is when you get appointed to this international job, is when you start teaching yourself French.
That's not the entire truth. What you say forms part of the truth. But one of the things that you will find about the UN, this tribalism will speak of. People bring their own into the UN.
Tribalism.
Oh,
ethnicity.
Yes, they do. And not only ethnicity, they look for their countrymen and then they get specific about the sort of ethnicity that they want. So qualification, everything notwithstanding, those are required. But it plays a strong role. You look at the WHO and the Africans there, ask which part of the... Yes, I'm just explaining to you. Right? Look at the UN and look at the divisions within the UN where you find Africans. Right? If you find that a certain African from a certain part of an African country, you'll find people from that country are in abundance in that particular whatever. But we shouldn't complain. We do the same locally.
Yeah.
And which is why then, long time ago, we should have taken the decision as part of our grand strategy that for us to get these international roles and assignments, what does it take? So that we have those guys who speak French. I mean, we teach all these languages. Like, for instance, that is why, much to the displeasure of a number of Kenyans, we supported Mr. Raila's candidature for the African Union position. Because had he gotten the role, then there's a very high chance that a number of Kenyans would have gone as part of his team, and then they understand how the system works and create opportunities for many more Kenyans.
You know, I don't understand the politics of the AU, so that's a subject that I will not comment on. I've tried to understand it. I don't fully understand it. Let me talk about this matter you spoke of, the expertise we have within government. We do. NDC, Kenya School of Government, the National Defense University, see, one of the things that they do, certain levels of courses, you will find, for instance, that a senior management course involves people who are in the military of the rank of colonel and above. You know, from colonel, you become a general, a one-star general.
Brigadier.
Yes. They bring people who are at the level of, in the days of the provincial system, who are at the level of, yes, a deputy PC, okay? And under secretary. So you actually find government in its entirety is actually represented in that course. Government, meaning every part of government is represented. Somebody from the army, from the navy, from the air force, from this ministry, from the other. Now, by the time they graduate, and this is in collaboration with the University of Nairobi, okay? By the time they graduate, it takes, I think, a year or a bit. These people know each other fairly well because they've been together, they've worked together. Or somebody was the level of a district commissioner. What it meant is, as somebody rose in government, you already had a network. It became easy for you to understand how other arms of government work because you've studied together. A year is a long time for grown-ups to be studying together.
Yeah, it's a hell long time.
Now, beyond that, if you just go to the ministries or you go to other parts of government, the amount of education that this country invests in their personnel, it is profound. Most people just don't know it. But those individuals you take for granted, those ministries, are really very educated. And they are constantly being sharpened. Constantly. Where we allowed the politicians, many of whom are fairly dim-witted, to actually take control, yes, they are, to take control of decision-making process in things they don't really know. That is where the rain started beating us, because you find someone has been presented with something they don't know much about. Instead of asking for these individuals to come and explain so that they understand it, they are ready to make decisions on it. And the decision is not based on that subject matter. It is based on what they think will serve their interest. So it doesn't matter how intelligent these people are. It doesn't matter how well informed they are. It doesn't matter what they come up with. When it gets to the politicians making that final decision, we will get it wrong.
And also to buttress City's point, like now for the National Defense College, it's not just limited to Kenyan students. Other countries, they call them friendly states or allied states.
Yeah.
Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, all of them send some of their sharpest public servants who are due for promotion to come for these courses. So can you imagine when
My
you
friend,
go
even as far as South Africa, believe it or not.
So can you imagine when you have this group of people, some of the sharpest people in Africa in a room, looking at case studies, looking at scenarios, the kind of product you have from... I mean, you'll notice that when you see some of them, you see the business cards, you see in small letters NDC. That is a stamp of authority, a stamp of excellence, and that is what we must do. But it goes back to how we vote in. During the party primaries, the political party leader will decide who is going to run for a particular seat, and then we go for elections. Now, if you elect people to the National Assembly or Senate, or you appoint cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries who do not know the value of the National Defense College, who do not know the imports of the quality of public servants you have, then probability of getting it wrong is extremely high. When you interact with these public servants of rank, every single day they are yawning. Yeah, they're yawning because they've come up with very solid policy briefs. But what the political leaders, the ones who are taking the decisions, the kind of decisions they take, they're just frustrated. That's why most of them go to the office, read newspapers the entire day, have a cup of tea and mandazi, in the evening go back home. It's not that you don't have talent. You've got very solid talent. But for the few cabinet secretaries who pay attention to these professionals, they're smelling like red roses. They're doing a very good job.
I want to circle back to the conversation we were holding about the opposition and what needs to happen. And you said that Rigathi Gachagua is their weakest link. So now what do? Do they discard Gachagua? Do they, what happens?
How is he their weakest link?
In my view, if you want to become the head of, or rather you want to be the united opposition candidate, you must make your way to Mount Kenya without a broker. And that is how President Ruto made his way to Mount Kenya. He did not use any brokers. He did his grassroots campaigns, created his brand, and he did not want to use anybody as a stepping stone to Mount Kenya. So if you are Dr. Matiang'i or you are Kalonzo or you're Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua. Well, Martha Karua, you see, is part of Mount Kenya.
She's already there.
Yeah, go straight to Mount Kenya and present your case. In applied political communication, they say develop your own strategic narrative, strategic proposition. That what is your candidature all about? Because if you are going to use Rigathi Gachagua as a stepping stone, and he has said he's got 7 million votes in his back pocket, so it's like a cake. He can cut and distribute as he deems fit. Then probability of getting it wrong is extremely high. And the people have done informal polls, which suggest that if elections were held today, the third preferred candidate in Mount Kenya is Rigathi Gachagua. He's not the preferred. He's not number one, nor is he number two. So if you want to be the united opposition presidential candidate, then just become like President Ruto.
Let me ask. So, assuming, and this is assuming that that Mount Kenya vote is gone. Let's assume. Where else can
where?
No, assuming maybe they've decided that this is the direction they're going to take. Which other region can the united opposition actually go and raid?
But why do they need to raid a region?
Raid a region in terms of consolidate that vote. Like get proper support from that area such that it would rival what they're probably going to get from Mount Kenya region.
You know the genius of President Ruto's campaign strategy in 2022? And I'm calling the genius because it was. He created a completely new tribe called the Hustler. It's a tribe. And he explained to them why they were homogeneous. And he explained to this tribe why it is that they were where they are and why they were suffering. He explained it. That narrative made it possible for the Gen Zs to be what they are. Because that pathway was open. This is my view. So people realize, wait a moment, actually, we don't need these structured political parties to air grievances. We can actually do this. And they tried it, they tested it, and you know what? They found it can actually work. So I'm asking this question with that as a background in mind, because that, I'm calling it a genius because that element changed our politics. I don't know why it is, it's not being understood. But our politics actually changed. You have our tribal groupings that we love, but we have this grouping, and unfortunately, they are the majority. They belong to political parties, but from the data that we have, the majority of them are not in political parties. It's a completely different constituency. Completely. And by the looks of it, none of these fellows are appealing to them sufficiently. So when you say, and when you ask your question, I'm asking, you see, the legacy political parties have their youth, they have their structures, they have their issues, and they're talking about the same things they always talk about. They're talking about their regions, but this constituency, who is addressing this constituency? Because they exist.
So the same way President Ruto did whatever he did and made all this tribal conversation inconsequential, how then can we, how can the united opposition make that Mount Kenya vote inconsequential?
The united opposition to make the Mount Kenya vote inconsequential,
such that yani hata wakipoteza, if the let's say Kalonzo ends up being the presidential candidate of choice for that opposition, and he clearly sees that capturing that Mount Kenya vote is going to be difficult, all right, for whatever reason. This is just, we're throwing some equation here in the whatever. Which other areas can he actually capture? Whether it's coming up with a narrative, hustler versus dynasty, whether it's coming up with a different whatever. Which other area can he actually capture?
In my view, first, again, these are disease-facing majority of politicians. Majority of them think that, again, that the sharpest tools in the shade. They don't listen to advice. In my view, if you want to run for any position in Kenya, you must sit back and ask yourself, who are the people that you want to represent? What are their interests and aspirations? What are their fears? What are their worries? Where is the pain point and where is the pleasure point? And how do you align? That is what President Ruto did. And he told Kenyans, the reason why you are in this economic space in life, the station in life where you are, and you are wallowing in poverty, you are facing many challenges, it's because of the dynasties. And I'm fighting for you. That's what he told Kenyans. I'm fighting for you. I want to remove them from the decision-making table so that I can take decisions which will take you to the next level. And majority of Kenyans actually believed that the reason why I'm having a challenge with my mortgage, with my cash crops, is because of the dynasties. Yeah, that the ones who are frustrated.
The ones who determine when it rains, yes.
And as soon as Ruto removes them, then my fortunes are going to change. And the people identified with that message. And you remember that is why he said that he was a chicken seller.
Oh yeah.
That I know where you are. I understand your pains.
Because I've been there.
But guess what? William Ruto has never been a chicken seller. If he's been selling chicken, it's as a heavy commercial. Not the one you sell by the road where you have got 10 chicken and then you come and sell one siku moja na mahindi lapana. He's a big time player. But you see, when you tell people that I'm in your space, I'm the one who's going to unlock opportunities, it's the same thing Mr. Donald Trump told Americans. That the reason why these guys want to assassinate me, they want to kill me, is because I'm the one who is stopping them from coming to you. If I'm not in this space, you guys are going to be in trouble.
Finished.
It's so easy for any politician. And all they need to do is take a break from these political rallies, go to a conclave like the one which elects a pope, and sit and ask themselves, what are their fears of Kenyans? What are their interests? What is their aspirations? And come up with a messaging. Right now,
become the messiah.
Yeah, with the political messiah. Right now what the united opposition in Kenya is engaged in.
Excuse me. The opposition that calls itself united, please.
Yes, yeah. Now, the
Yes.
opposition that calls itself united,
Yes.
what they're engaged in today is called visibility. They don't have a message in their campaign. So you see them.
I thought their message is one term.
Somebody, I'll come to that. Somebody
Okay.
said they're photogenic, they hold hands and they take nice pictures. There's a lot of visibility. But what is the message? So if you're telling us one term, so what? You know, they haven't answered the so what question.
Yeah.
One term, so what?
Then what?
One term, so what? There's a farmer, there's a maize farmer who's been a beneficiary of President Ruto's policy interventions.
Yeah.
And then you're telling him one term, and right now he's seen a change in his bank balance. There are people who work at Foreign Affairs under Salem Davard who have positioned Kenya as an FDI destination. So there are people who are getting entertaining investors in Kenya, coming up with all these joint ventures, and then you're telling them one term. So one term, so what? How is this one term going to? How does this one term serve my selfish interest? But we know how one term serves Rigiji's selfish interest. He wants to settle personal scores with the president.
Right.
So for him, he's aligned. Anataka mpeleke nyumbani asubuhi na mapema. But how does this one term sort out Mura's challenges or Alima's challenges? Or indeed your challenge right here? How does it serve your interest?
Actually, you know, this one-term mantra is good. Because in the absence of it, what you've just said would never have been there. You see, there is a story within a story. And the story is this. There is a group of Kenyans we're referring to as Gen Zs who have offered spiritual influence to very many similar movements across the globe, just in the way they went about their business. Right now, as we are speaking, there's a lot happening that we cannot see. So because we can't see it, we cannot speak of it. At best, we can speculate. But if I'm to go by the 8 million who did not vote, the majority of whom I believe are young, I am simply saying, remember, my position has been they're untested. And that not being tested goes beyond the boundaries of conventional politics as we know it. And all these politicians, legacy and otherwise, the changes that I'm seeing, the president bringing other people, legacy, it's a wonderful thing. We are actually at a wonderful time in the history of Kenya because these are the things that will wake up this group of people and say, these fellows are actually just looking after their own interests. Aren't they just? They will not need to be told. They will be able to see it firsthand. And they will also understand that if you galvanize yourself behind these leaders, nothing will change. It will be business as usual. So these are good times. And in my opinion, what the president is doing is a good thing because he's awakening the entire country to all manner of possibilities that we would never have seen before. And legacy politicians are slowly moving themselves out of the political arena without even realizing it. Because this politics, as usual, is what has brought us to where we are right now. And no one is telling you about the frameworks that they're putting in place to ensure that things actually change. Statements are made as to how it is we need to progress. Statements. But that's just about it.
Right.
Yes.
And in my view, what Kenyans must do is they must vote with their selfish interests in mind. We are told by economics that human beings are rational human beings. So when you go to during the elections, please vote with your selfish interest in mind. Do not necessarily align with the interest of another politician, and you actually think that those are your interests. Okay. You see that some people will say that kama Raila amepata pia mimi nimepata. What does that mean?
Paul, there's something you wanted to say?
No, actually, I was going to read a comment here, but I realized we're out of time. Yes, we are. But thank you very much, Dismas, for coming through as far as this conversation is concerned. And like I said, we are heading into that time where obviously these conversations will need to be held more and more. And as we unpack the opposition, as we unpack government, as we unpack the strategies that both these sides have, definitely we'll be calling you back here to have that conversation.
Asante sana.
Karibu tena sana. Here we are taking a short break, but we'll be right back. Don't go too far.
It's 8 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasser has confirmed that one of the 3 people who went missing after boat capsized at Chuda Water Sports during the Ocean Festival has been found dead. The governor said only family members will be allowed to view the body for identification. The tragic accident happened on Mazingira Day during the East African Ocean Festival, which started on October 9th. Governor Nasser is urging the public to remain calm and allow the Kenya Navy and other rescue teams to continue their search operations. Here is Mombasa Transport CEC Dan Manyala.
The clarity of water has been observed. The water is a bit muddy, and the section itself, for the people who understand the channel, is usually a muddy section, and that has been a problem. Of course, there are the tides that keep on playing, but the officers that are here are very experienced officers because we are led by the Kenya Navy itself, and we are sure or hopeful that today we will be able to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah is calling on President William Ruto to intervene in what he says is a worsening health crisis in Kiambu County. Speaking during a church service attended by the president, Ichung'wah said more than 100 children and several mothers have died in recent weeks due to healthcare failures. He blamed the crisis on doctors' strike, saying medics have been forced to down their tools after the county government failed to engage them.
I had a meeting with doctors from KMPDU, Your Excellency, and they have pleaded that as the President of the Republic of Kenya, please step in to help us resolve the health crisis that is there in Kiambu. Because when some of us speak, it is seen as politics. And we have said even in church where we were, Your Excellency, we do not want to do politics with the lives of our people. And we want to plead with all the leadership in Kiambu County to put life ahead of politics.
Kenya can be a first world country by the year 2055, according to President William Ruto. Speaking during the 70th anniversary of the African Inland Church Ziwani Starehe Boys Center in Nairobi, on Sunday the president said Kenya has remained in the developing category for too long. He added that his administration is determined to change that status through hard work, national unity and faith in God.
We have been in the third world for far too long. We have had our fair share. It is now time. And by God's grace, by the effort of our hands, by the blessing of our plans, and the energy and unity of the people of Kenya, we want to move this country from a third world country to a first world country in the next 30 years, by 2055.
Garissa Township Member of Parliament Deko Barrow has condemned the brutal killing of Garissa Teachers Training College lecturer Otieno Minudi. Minudi was stabbed to death in Bulamzuri on the night of Saturday, October 12, 2025. In a statement released to newsrooms on Sunday, the MP expressed deep sorrow and outrage over the incident. He described it as painful loss to the lecturer's family, as well as the entire Garissa community and Kenya's education fraternity. Israel expects all 20 living hostages to be released together by Hamas on Monday morning. An Israeli government spokesperson says the bodies of the deceased hostages will be placed in coffins and brought to a forensic institute for identification. Under the terms of the ceasefire deal, which came into effect on Friday, Hamas has until 12 local time today to return all Israeli hostages. In exchange, Israel will free 250 Palestinian prisoners and 1,700 detainees from Gaza, which includes nearly 24 children. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to Radio Generation. The time right now is 6 minutes past 8 o'clock. This is the People's Breakfast. 88.8 FM in Nairobi, 90.7 FM Mombasa. Kama unatusikiza uko pia, you can find us on WhatsApp 0116-928-683. That is 0116-928-683. We are across all social media channels at Radio Gen KE, Radio Generation Kenya. You can't go wrong if you actually Google search that. Meanwhile, in studio, we want to talk about higher VAT, high excise duty, and the impact on the economy. And to have this conversation with us is Tax and Exchange Control Partner at CDH Kenya, Alex Kanyi. Alex, good morning and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you, morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Niko salama pia mimi. Kama unavyoona pia siti yako fiti.
Ako sawa.
Right. Let's talk about value added tax. For someone who's probably hearing this for the first time, and I'm sure there is someone hearing this for the first time, what kind of tax is it and why is it so important to an economy such as ours?
Okay. So value added tax, VAT, is a form of indirect tax. In general terms, we call it a consumption tax. I'll give an example. So when you buy, for example, a liter of diesel, so within that diesel, they've put an element of VAT, value-added tax.
Right.
So as you purchasing that item, tax is already embedded on it, yeah? And it happens in many things that we buy at the supermarket for an ordinary common man. When you're purchasing stuff at the supermarket, they load VAT.
Right.
And basically you don't notice, but you're also paying tax as you consume. So in simpler terms, that would be VAT.
Right. So even this phone of mine has VAT
Yes.
on it.
Yes.
When I bought it, that is.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
So it's everywhere. Basically, that is the tax that you cannot escape.
You cannot escape. You don't see it, but it is already there. Yes.
Excise duty.
While excise duty again is some form of indirect or consumption tax. We see it, for example, in alcoholic
beverages.
We see it in your sodas. You see it in bottled water, and slowly you're also seeing it in services. For example, when you buy your data, your airtime, again slowly they've already put some excise duty on it, so that government then collects tax in that form.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it possible to have VAT and excise duty on the same product?
Very possible.
Okay.
Yeah, even just that example of your liter of diesel already has within it excise duty and also has VAT.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, we don't want to speak about it, but it's
Yeah.
already like more than 50% of what you pay for a liter of petrol or diesel is tax. More than 50%.
Is tax.
Is
This
tax.
is a combination of all
Yes, levies,
Does this,
tax,
okay, yes,
etc.
exactly. I wanted to ask if it includes levies.
It includes levies.
So when we are currently we're buying fuel at what, 184, 185, I think, yeah?
Yeah.
So you want to tell me that half of that 90 something shillings
90 shillings plus is tax.
is tax.
Yes. Indirect taxes, the VAT, the excise duty that we're talking about today.
Does this happen in other countries?
Yes, it happens in other countries.
All right. So kufikiria ni kama sisi wa Kenya pekee, we are very unique.
Hapana,
Because we like complaining, and it, of course it's because it comes from a point of ignorance that we're heavily taxed because we probably had one thing happening in another country and like, what? So this is what they're doing in Madagascar and here in Kenya, So this is something that happens across the world.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Let's talk about then the fact that they're this, and you've actually said slowly been added. Why did you use that term, slowly being added? Does it mean that perhaps it wasn't there a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? How long ago were these slowly added taxes?
Well, just to give an example, when we say slowly added is because government is looking at indirect taxes as a form of raising revenue. And the challenge for the government has been, how do we increase the tax base? Yeah, how do we get more taxpayers? How do we get more people paying tax? So for the longest, I think there's been a high reliance on direct taxes. Direct taxes meaning for employees, if I'm being paid a salary,
yes,
my pay as you earn, that's tax. Then government collects, it's nice and easy. For companies, once they make their profit, of course, they get taxed. Again, nice and easy for the government. But somehow there's a feeling that we're getting to the ceiling in terms of direct taxes. Yeah. Hence the reason why then you have to look at other forms of raising revenue, and now indirect taxes come to play. So when you speak, for example, of new things, for some time we were not paying excise duty on transfers by banks or money transfer companies for the services they offer.
So this is like if I want to transfer money to Britain or the US.
Yes.
All right.
Of course. Then you pay some form of tax. Yeah. Excise duty will be put on it. Yeah. So they want to collect tax on that. Yeah. VAT, for example, on fuel. Yeah. There was a time we were at 8%. Yeah.
Yes.
And then slowly we moved to 16%.
That's double the amount.
Double the amount, 100%. So it kind of tells you that there is a slow shift towards indirect taxes, the VAT and the excise duties of this world.
Right.
And it's not just happening in Kenya. Yeah, we see attempts across Africa to basically raise revenue through indirect taxes. Yeah. So speak of Ghana, speak of Morocco, speak of Zimbabwe.
Right.
All of them looking at how do we add indirect taxes so that they collect revenue. It could be a marginal increase, for example, in the VAT rate.
Right.
Yeah, for them to try collect more revenue, as just of an example. Some other countries, of course, have tried and failed. Look at South Africa, for example. They started with an ambition to just increase the VAT rate by 1%. Kidogo, of course, the politics came into play. They then said, why don't we try 0.5?
Right.
Again, the guys resisted until they didn't increase their VAT rate.
Hey, okay, I do
Is
not
there a
understand.
formula to this, really?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, call it excise duty, call it direct tax, call it indirect tax. You are asking people to take a portion of whatever earnings they have to give to the government.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, should they not be corresponding economic activities that align with the increase in these taxes? Or what I'm saying is this: if my salary has remained constant and you want more of it, I will immediately know that I'm going to remain with less. I will know that. So if the government's aim is to earn more, is to collect more, should the government not then ensure that there is more for them to get more? Because if it is 16% and I'm earning 20,000 shillings,
yes,
you'll get the same amount. If you add on to that, I end up less. But if I no longer earn 20 but I earn 25 and you're still taxing me 16%, you will get more.
That's correct. It's a bigger question on governance, yeah? And we can see it for us who've been practicing tax for the longest. So you see it in the form of, for example, job losses. So basically employers saying we can no longer entertain a bigger number of staff because the tax already, or whatever is tied to staff is already a lot. So when you speak about the PAYE, then you add SHA, SHIF, then you add housing levy, etc., it becomes a very big cost, yeah? Then also for companies themselves, you also, I think it's been in the headlines for some time in terms of number of companies that are shutting down.
Oh, yes.
Yeah? So that means that even the business environment is not that good. There's also the debate of how much of disposable income then is left with you and I, so that then we can even spend on things that would be subject to VAT or even excise duty. Yeah? If for some reason you do not have enough money in your pocket, and you have to live within your means, and then, for example, you have excise duty on bottled water, it just means enda kwa tap, kunywa maji yako ya mfereji, and move on. Yeah? So we kind of see those kinds of shift. But again, it's a bigger discussion in terms of governance. What people want to see where the money is going, so that then they also get on board in terms of supporting government to raise revenue. Yeah? And I think there's been some efforts. For example, you'll see, is it the government delivery agency or unit for the president trying to say this is how much we've been able to achieve with your money. More can be done towards that.
Yes.
And again, just reminding all of us that it is our duty to actually pay tax as citizens, and that is in our constitution, and it is the government's duty to raise taxes again, and that is also set within the constitution.
It is said that during President Kibaki's regime, he actually managed to encourage people to pay taxes, and he actually encouraged even other people to join KRA. Not join KRA, but submit and get PIN numbers via KRA and so on and so on. Now, the thing, what was so unique about that presidency that encouraged people, the Kenyans, the masses, and even foreign investors to actually now come in and say, you know what, I will pay taxes to this government? What was so unique about that time?
Well, even start just with the level of transparency in terms of how funds are used. I think there was some level of transparency and even trust by people in terms of how their funds were being used. So I think that was somehow different. Again, with his economic background, perhaps he also managed to steer the country in the right direction in terms of how we are spending our money or how we are even financing our projects. I'd say that's the only thing perhaps that I would point out. Yeah.
Because right now people are so they're resisting this, whether it's about stories to do with the increment in taxes, or even people wanting to join the tax regime because they're like, hey, pesa yangu inapotea, and that is a legit concern. But if we are being honest, the government is really trying its best by introducing all these taxes and explaining to the people as to why these taxes need to be introduced. For example, we can even talk about levies such as the housing levy. There's a lot of confusion in that. Yet, affordable housing has been part and parcel of conversations, whether politically or otherwise, in this country since the 1970s, and we can trace that through documents that you can access, government documents. If that has been something that has been in the works for a very long time, why has it been very difficult just to implement it over the years? Is it because, number one, leadership doesn't know how to implement that particular policy, doesn't know how to come up with that policy, or it's just a difficult policy to sell to Kenyans?
I'd say that it's the timing. Yeah, it's the timing of it. Yeah?
Yes.
It's the timing for me, because when you look at payroll taxes, there was a time the highest band was 25% around COVID time. Then, of course, we went back to the highest band at 30%. Then I guess in 2023, we were looking at the highest band being 35%. Now, for payroll, you're looking at the increase in rates, especially if you're within those high income bands. You're looking at an increase in your payroll tax. Then, at around the same time, then they introduced SHIF, Social Health Insurance Fund.
Yes.
And again, it's a colossal amount when you compare it to just the traditional National Hospital Insurance Fund,
right?
NHIF.
Yeah.
A big increase, significant. Yeah. I was paying mine the other day, and the shift from how much I was paying, I think around. Was it 1,700? I guess. Yeah. To what I paid recently, it was huge,
colossal.
The multiple, I can't even speak about it. It's just so big. Yeah. Then on top of it, add now the housing levy. On top of it, remember even National Social Security Fund, NSSF, the contributions that you were making. 200 at some point. Now even that is increasing every year with a percentage. So the raid to the payslip has been consistent.
And you're saying it's the timing. The timing is just
So
bad.
the timing to just introduce additional staff to then affect your payroll, I think wasn't that good. Perhaps we should have spaced it a little bit, so that then you start with your increased rate in pay as you earn.
Right.
Then slowly you introduce another levy, for example, SHIF. Then slowly introduce housing levy, slowly introduce an increase in SSF. Yeah. So if we had done it that way, perhaps it would have been better. But I think everything just came at once.
Yeah, ni vizuri ikifanyika one time so that we don't know. So you can imagine every year you're just waiting also which other new tax we have this year. You're told, okay, housing levy. Then next year, which other is going to be introduced. So it's like every year you'll be having that tension.
But there has to be some other complementary economic movement. You asked about Kibaki.
Right.
We've discussed it here. The moment you started off by the declaration of free primary education, what is often not discussed is that parents now had more money than they had before. Because if you're not paying, then you have the money.
Yes.
You don't have to pay. You have the money. That's number one. And then the government did not dish out money to people, but the government stopped borrowing as much as the previous governments had done from either the domestic or foreign lenders. That forced the domestic money market to hawk money. They now needed to find individuals who could borrow. So money became available to people who ordinarily could not. And that's where we had personal loans which did not require collateral. All you required was probably a letter from your employer. People had access to credit. Once there was access to credit,
yes,
it means the circulation of money within the country increased. What that therefore meant, many businesses started flourishing where they didn't exist before. Now with more money, when you tax people, you're taxing out of the abundance. But this one of ours, it's stagnant.
I already know where that statement is going. But you're right.
Why do you think there's so much pain?
Yeah.
That pain doesn't move. And you're just seeing it diminishing with every day. It's diminishing. There has to be something that corresponds with it, and corresponds in that you have access to money so you can do things. That tax then doesn't become a big problem as you imagine. You know why? You are able to generate more income, but it's stagnant. You can't. So of course you're going to feel pain. Of course you're going to complain. And then there's a downward spiral effect. More people buy less. Those who produce will now produce less because they're not selling as before.
Exactly.
Whom the people they employ will have to be reduced because they cannot justify that number of people being employed when they're producing less. So the effect you have is a complete opposite of what you may have wanted.
Actually,
so even the pot that you want to tax from shrinks. So where do you think you're going to get the money from?
Yeah, in biology we call it feedback mechanism, where because of this inakata hizo zingine zote. And what he's raising is actually very valid, because now if we have that ripple effect whereby now because of this is happening, so eventually we cut the things at the source. What is the remedy? Because at the end of the day, government needs to raise taxes. Umesema vizuri sana in your opening statement. So what is the solution? Because it needs to tax.
Yeah, the government has to tax.
It's either that or they borrow.
Oh, they borrow.
And already we are demonizing their borrowing.
Yes.
Of which it is actually a right to tell them, because they are not doing anything with that tax, that money, with those loans. But yes, now what do we do?
Well, I think the effort towards looking at the tax base has continued with the Kenya Revenue Authority as one of the measures to just ensure that we have more people than contributing taxes. Assuming the ones who are paying are staying stagnant, or perhaps they are reducing the amount of tax that they are paying. For example, what Senior says in terms of if you had a business and you have to reduce operations, it means definitely you will pay less corporation tax. Definitely if you are manufacturing things that are subject to VAT and excise duty, that reduces, okay? But at the same time, how do you ensure that you collect more tax, which is your question? So one of the efforts that I see the government doing is, for example, e-invoicing. Electronic tax invoice management system, just as one of the measures that the government has used, and is already resulting to increased revenues. Meaning we catch those who are not paying taxes before and ensure they pay tax. When, for example, we talk about electronic tax invoice management system, it means that I have to raise an invoice that KRA has sight of. And then at the end of, say, the month, KRA is expecting me to file a particular return with certain numbers that they already have.
Yes.
Yeah? And at the end of every year, for corporate tax purposes, also, the government is expecting me to say, this is how much I earned, this is my expenses, and therefore this is the tax that is due to the government. So there's a lot of sight for the government now, and that is already translating to revenues, because we had then a group of people who are doing businesses. You see them flying around, you see them with good cars, but when it comes to taxes, they are filing nil returns.
Yes.
Or even they don't even have a KRA pin. Yeah? So that group of people is now getting caught. Yeah.
Okay, and again we go back to that whole question of Kibaki. Kibaki managed to get such people to join, that patriotic duty of paying taxes, because he, again, what you said, there was transparency in that government. So you are okay and happy, having to tell the government, you know what, I actually make 1,000 bob, and I'm willing to give you that 10 shillings, because now I feel like this 10 shillings is going somewhere. But see, for this government, and perhaps even previous government, the previous government did not have that goodwill with the people. Because every question I have had with people in the government is, you're not spending the money that you've been given by the people vizuri. So if I start a new business today, what will encourage me to actually tell the government, look, I am now selling phones, this is my turnover, and I would like to start paying taxes. Because it happens in other countries. Places like the US, you do not joke with the IRS. Bro, unafungunga biashara na unaanza wewe mwenyewe unajipeleka. Na ukiona waja kukuja unauliza niliwapigia si amkupata? So how do we get to that? So
I normally tell people that tax is not a harambe, where you come with good moods, and therefore we encourage you, we ask you, if you can, could you please pay? It doesn't work like that. You mentioned the IRS, and the reason you mention it is because of the compliance level.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that if you don't pay tax, they'll come hard on you.
Oh, you have no idea.
And I guess that's where we are heading now. Yeah. Even as they try to deal with tax apathy, they're also trying to deal with compliance to ensure that you who is already doing business, whether you feel like paying tax or not, you comply. Yeah, you pay tax when it is due. Yes. Yeah. For example, if you're filing your value-added tax return on the 20th of every month, at that 20th, if there is any VAT due to the government, you will pay, not because you like it. And if you don't pay, it's even stricter, because now they have very good account managers.
Right.
In fact, you miss paying your VAT. The next day there'll be a call from KRA. Yeah, if your account manager is switched on, asking you, boss, what happened? We didn't see any money coming in this month. Yeah. So I think there's insistence then on compliance rather than this other side of asking people to pay because it is a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, if we do not, and I get what you've said also about the taxpayers being apathetic, because there's so much going on in this country, because hata kale pesa kidogo unatengeneza, you can actually pay tax. And we were actually having a conversation here with Citi a while back about digital tax and the fact that content creators actually do not want to pay tax because they're like, this government has not helped me as a content creator to actually submit my taxes.
Yeah.
So you see already what is happening in the minds of Kenyans. You need to pay tax, and it's important to pay tax because at the end of the day anyway, kujilipia ushuru ni
kujitegemea.
But also remember, it isn't one process that leads to this. You asked about the Kibaki government. Apart from just systems being simple and easy for you to understand, there is the need to constantly get people to understand these taxes and how, forget why even, how to pay them. And then there was visibility of what would happen if you did not comply. So prosecution, then this fellow was mucking around with the taxes. This government came in. There are people whom KRA reported in the public domain. They had issued the taxes from here to God knows where. Then somebody ends up being chairman of KRA. So you wonder, now this one, how's this one going to work? How exactly is this one going to work? What am I saying? You then look at what it is. I'm saying complementary activities. You are paying taxes, but the government comes up, say, with a Vision 2030, is telling you essentially blueprint, this is how we plan to do these things. And then you actually start seeing, what does the government do? For the first time, we are freed of those briefcase contractors, and you find some Chinese people building the road at night, and they're expanding in Mombasa. You started seeing more and more things, seeing, not hearing. You saw. Now, when you feel your money is being used appropriately, one, you don't really have a problem paying. This government has the complete opposite experience. People feel that they do not see what is happening. But you see, those times are also completely different. Kibaki came in at a time when it's against the backdrop of the so-called Cold War having ended, all right? The nonsense that World Bank and IMF brought about structural adjustment programs were in the background. Kibaki was firm. Kibaki said no. There are many things these fellows came out. Kibaki said he's not doing it. It was not even complicated. And why he was able to get away with it was he was not borrowing their money. So they couldn't have that stranglehold on him. 5% was what was required. Because what? Just look at the process. First year, no new projects. Let's just see how we can sort out the old projects before we begin. Let's sort out this tax issue. Let's look at laws that will enable us to do what we want to do the way we want to do them. Meaning the foundation was set. So when he rolled it out, he was rolling out something that already had been thought through, and you could see where it was going. Many complementary activities to bring about a desired outcome. What we have now is a combination of very many things. Many debts falling due. So this story of installments out. We require 1.2 trillion, whatever the amount is, you pay. So you pay. Where do you pay it from? The money that we've collected. Is it 3 trillion? No. It's 2 point something trillion. What I'm saying is, the circumstance and situation that we find ourselves in, how does this government, first of all, get to a point where they can take advantage of what we have now? For instance, the next big debt that we have to pay is in 2028, not now. Right now, we are breathing space because whatever else people say, this government has actually proved that it can manage its debts well. It has a strategy to manage these things. How then do you take advantage of this breathing space to ensure that you now start putting right the things that are not wrong? Simply put, how do you ensure that the money that you borrowed do what they're supposed to do? Because if we're saying our debt is 12 trillion, if 12 trillion had landed in this economy, this country would be completely different. Completely.
We would be Dubai overnight.
It would be completely different.
Actually, on that same question, Kanye, do we really need to do some of the developments that we're currently doing? If at all there are any, by the way, but we have been told that, and we can see the government promising, saying, we'll build this road, we'll build this hospital, we'll do this school. What if we do something similar to what Kibaki did when he took over power in 2002, and we stop any new developments, and even stop all the ones that Zilukwazi mentioned as Jaisha, and we just say we need to focus on making sure that Kanye has got money in his pocket. So as we deal with the many taxes that we're trying to deal with, we are not developing anything new. We're not building a new road, no new hospitals, no new schools. Is it possible to actually do something to that economy? Make sure that CT and I and you have money in our pockets.
Let's take it back a little bit. So with government's budget, you have about only 30% being left for development. 70% goes towards recurrent expenditure. You're talking about salaries, etc. So there's actually very little money for development. So that is the context, yeah? And more reason why you then see a lot of borrowing to make sure that we can actually finance development projects. When you go to counties, it's even worse. There's a requirement that they spend more than 30% in terms of development. And when you look at the reports that are coming out, say from the controller of budget, you realize that very few counties actually meet that particular threshold. So there's a squeeze on money that could be spent on development. Does that mean then we freeze all development and hold, perhaps stable the ship? that could work, but at the same time, I think there's the politics side of it. There's the perception. Right now, in fact, we were just discussing around, you want to see that your money is actually being spent.
Yes. Working for you.
And working for you. And you can imagine with the kind of hit that this government is experiencing now, imagine if they then stopped all development. Popularity down. I think it would be even worse. I'm not a politician, but from a political side, I think it would be worse if they then stopped all development at this time. They need to show this is how their money is being spent. Yeah. Already people have doubts. They need to show something.
Yeah.
The problem with our development is that it's not just development. If the monies were utilized for the development and we looked for the most cost-efficient and effective ways. Take a look at this road that has been built for the longest time, the Rironi Road. Let me call it Rironi Road. The French were supposed to build it for 5 billion, for example. Something happened, this government came in, the French were told to take a hike. Then there were issues, they were taking us to court, they came back again. When they came back, it was now 2 billion more. They decided they're not interested. It is unfortunate that the narrative around our development projects is the additional costs that go beyond the actual cost of the project being mentioned in that narrative as part of our problem. And when that story is told, and by those who tell it, they tell it that that additional cost sometimes goes beyond 20 to even 30%. So the projects become unviable. And then there is also the discussion of the competition and the manner in which we source these problems. We saw what happened with the Adani issue. So you ask the question, this is a government project for which the citizens are going to be paying for. The terms and conditions even by which the individuals who are then selected, because you do not see a competitive process taking place, you actually find that there is a lot that is unclear. Now, government processes with regard to procurement need to be clear. It should be in the public domain, so when you look at it, you understand it. And then when you hear of projects here, of like Aurora Kimorero, we're told we borrowed $2 billion US. Then you're told 1 billion we can trace, we have an idea where it went. The other billion we are not certain. In Kenyanese, it means we know where it went, but we're not going to say. Okay? Now, if that is our story, and this is a debt that has to be paid. So you have to ask, we do have a problem here because that is a heck of a lot of money. At that time, we're talking about 200 billion. That's a great deal of money.
Yeah,
so if our development projects are tied into narratives like this, that means we'll keep acquiring debts that don't represent the development that they were intended for in the first place. And those developments, if they were actually realized, then there would be a catalyst to spur the economy to greater growth. So the money would actually be available to pay those things with ease. But when you have a squeeze such as one we have, it means whatever was purposed didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
And that's why we are as uncomfortable as we are.
And you said that politically it would spell doom if we stopped development projects. There are some other things I see government doing and I'm like, for instance, history of Mitumba. Government reducing taxes on Mitumba and then increasing on local productions. Isn't that hurting the local economies more than allowing Mitumba to come in? Yes, we understand that a lot of people are engaged in Mitumba business. Lakini sasa, I mean, how are we helping if our own industries, homegrown industries, are being taxed more than the Mitumbas coming through? Surely, I want to wear a brand new suit, and I hope it can be made here in Kenya. But if I can get a knockoff on the Mitumba stalls, then good for me.
That's an interesting debate. I think as recent as just last week,
yes,
CS Trade was talking about it, and the CS was saying it could be something they want to reverse in the near future, and basically tax Mitumba more to encourage local production. So I think they already have sight of it. But at the same time, I don't know, there are many people within that Mutumba industry. And very many, because it's one of the easiest ways to just get into business. Naenda nachukua bill, nafungua kastol maani, tunachukua kamera, then and before long you're doing business.
Right,
it's easier to do business that way.
Yes.
Yeah. But I guess that's just but one of the policies that we see then government looking at to ensure they encourage local production. Yeah.
So, but is the not Mutumba, but is the local textile industry huge enough? I don't know if you have this information,
it's dead.
But it's not sufficient.
It's dead.
Oh man.
Okay, where is it alive? Well, just so that we understand.
No, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I honestly don't know. That's dead. That's the reason I am asking.
There's it exists within an ecosystem. If you look at countries like, say, India, who have a vibrant textile industry, first of all, the raw materials that goes into that industry exists, and you see it and it's robust because it has to feed into it.
Yes.
Now, you then look at the diversity of what it is that particular industry produces, and apart from just the internal consumption of it, because their market is consumption, given the population they have, there's a market for it.
Yeah.
And then there is the exportation of it. All right? Now, once upon a time, we had something that imitated that briefly. So the raw materials like cotton was actually grown.
Yeah.
Where's cotton grown right now? All the things that support the ecosystem within which such an industry can exist.
Yes.
You have gineries that were once. Everything is historical. So if you're talking about having that industry, it is not just that industry. It has to be, as I said, an ecosystem. We talk about, say, palm oil. You can't have a palm oil industry if you don't have palm trees. You have to grow them.
True story.
We went into the bother of ensuring Ministry of Finance, Exchequer, went to Malaysia, studied it, came back with a blueprint, said this is what we're going to do. We're going to plant over this period of time, etc., 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 etc. Started dead. What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
These industries that you speak of, even if you look at the current industries that we have, what we do is we process raw material that other people bring to us. We don't produce the raw material. So essentially, we are a value add.
Yeah.
The ecosystem that enables a country to grow, which begins with the raw materials being local, and then supplying the so-called industry that then produces whatever it is you require to produce the final result, we don't have them. So the question...
So our textile industry is basically dead.
That thing is thoroughly dead.
All right. So your story ya Mitumba, tungoje.
Ngoje kwanza tu.
And
look,
perhaps that
the
is
very
why
people who are in the Mitumba industry, those are the people you begin the conversation with because they deal in textiles. It's a finished product, but that's what they do. And given that it sustains so many people, those are the people you have a conversation with because they already have an interest in that particular line of business. Okay?
Yeah.
But these are not things that you do by making certain political statements. You have to understand the length of time it takes for this thing to take root so that it becomes homegrown, then it moves along.
And you have to look at the disposable income as well. Yeah. So if then we insist on production, am I able to produce a T-shirt that I can sell at 10 shillings? Because that is what the
Mutumba
customer is willing to spend on clothes.
Yeah. And actually that is what Mutumba is offering. Because there are T-shirts that go for as little as 10 bob, 20 bob.
Yeah.
Okay. We were having a conversation with someone over the weekend about deficit spending. Is it something that we can consider in our current economy? And by specifically, he was talking about printing money. Is it something that we can actually consider in this economy, short term or long?
What makes you think we don't do it?
I'm asking the expert in the room.
No, I'm a tax expert, but at the same time, why do you want us to print money just to make it available? I don't know. Zimbabwe has shown us that it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah? They have even have they gone up to a note that has $1 billion or what?
Oh yeah, they have some crazy denominations there.
Yeah, and experience has shown that hasn't helped them at all. So I when I think about it, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Plus, then you also get to the negative effects of devaluing your currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. when you talk about 129 to the dollar today, what does it mean if then you decide to just print your money? I'm thinking your currency value also goes down.
Yeah.
We are a net importer. If you are a net importer then and your currency is weak, what does that mean? It means it's more expensive to do business. It's more expensive to produce. It becomes even more expensive to have staff within your company. I guess it may not achieve positive results.
Are there other facets of deficit spending that we can actually use? Because the US in the past has actually used this kind of formula to fund some programs here and there, especially during the Great Depression. Are there aspects of deficit spending that we can, and not printing money, any other facet of deficit spending that we can use to ensure that we can actually stimulate the economy?
I think I'd go the route of CT. Yeah, let's ensure that whatever money we are borrowing already is being spent towards the right causes. Let's ensure that our projects are fairly priced. Yeah, we are not inflating them because of other things. Yeah. Let's ensure the transparency is there in terms of this is how much we have borrowed, this is how much money is getting out of the consolidated fund, and this is how it's being spent. That might also help. Otherwise, if we also see a lot of restructuring of debt that we already have. I think as recent as is it last week again, where they're saying we are converting our dollar-denominated loans to perhaps currency backed by the Chinese, as an example.
Oh yeah, like the SGR.
Yes,
SGR
with structured debt. Some of the debt that we already have is already being paid early. Of course, we also have some wrong moves where we are paying off a debt today, hoping it is cheaper, and then in less than a year or 2 years, we are borrowing at a rate that is higher than the rate that retired. So these are some of the things we're able to see. But again, they hear this, and I'm sure even right now they are listening, that some form of transparency is required, so that then the narrative is easier to sell. To say, guys, this is where we are, and I think we had even was it a team that was being set up to assist with auditing the debt, to just support the Auditor General to ensure that the debt is okay.
And that's the crazy part, because the Auditor General already has that particular report of what has been paid, what was borrowed, what has been wasted. Like literally, it is there. I don't see why we need to re-audit it.
You don't even need the Auditor General. The Exchequer, the National Treasury has those figures. There's nothing we've borrowed or
paid. There's nothing new that a different auditor will add.
There's nothing we've borrowed, we've paid that they don't have details of. Believe me.
Yeah.
We have them.
So this whole issue of wasting time, buying time so that we can, show that things are working. For me, I feel like it's one of those things that Wachekubaba Kenya ufala.
Actually, it's more than that. It may appear that way.
Yes.
But you talked about looking at what, for instance, a country like the US has done. But remember, the US moved from what was known then as the gold standard. And when you look at the Great Depression, by the way, these fellows haven't had it once or twice. They've had it several times. And what it is that led to it. Those who study economics will tell you this thing. It's not really as complicated as people would like to make it.
Yeah.
When you have a lot of money chasing few goods, meaning there's a lot of liquidity within the country, but the goods and services which are being produced are fewer, they will tell you that the cost of whatever that you want to buy will go up. And now that is actually in essence inflation. Okay?
Yeah.
But there are other factors in the world that contribute to it. Before OPEC came into being around 1974, crude oil and petroleum didn't have the yo-yo effect that it had because OPEC didn't exist.
Yeah.
Now, as a factor of production, we needed oil. We needed petroleum products to move the country or the world into this era of industrialization. So the moment other people had control of it, there's plenty of oil, yes, but they control it, meaning they decide how much of it to release into the economy. Gold standard, it was the same story. You have it, but you decide. So that the value is determined by its scarcity. Okay? Now, if you look at what it is that we are talking about with this country, there's a question that has been asked because many people don't understand it, including myself. The Kenyan shilling, despite our problems, is not doing an up and down. It's not volatile. It's actually fairly stable. I am among the people who thought it wouldn't get 200. It hasn't. Okay? It's fairly stable. It moves a little bit, 1 or 2 points, but it moves there. What it tells you is that we may appear to be living beyond our means.
Right.
Okay? Hence the borrowing. But there's yet another story. When you borrow in a foreign denomination, this is where the problem comes in. You end up paying so many times more what it is you borrowed. If your currency is volatile, then you could have paid.
Yeah.
And that's why smart economists avoid that borrowing. You avoid it completely. Now, something else happened to us. We stopped being a third world, poor, backward banana republic. We were told that we were told by the people who tell us these things that we had moved into supposedly a middle income country. I don't understand these terms completely. Middle income us. Okay, so we are a middle income country, but then that meant we now couldn't borrow. You know, some of those loans they give really poor third world countries. We now couldn't access them. All right. Now, this is an ecosystem. All these things are happening at the same time. Then you have a government that borrows money, a lot of it, and you know why they're able to borrow? Because we have a good record, so people are willing to lend you. Then, the things for which these things were intended don't get done. You still owe. They are due at a certain point in time, and those people want their money paid. Then you have this discussion of, are we going to default? That's when it came about, because it seemed like this is the money we have, this is what we owe, how are we going to keep? The government has to keep borrowing. At some point, it doesn't have a choice.
Now
It has to keep borrowing.
I look at countries such as Norway. They have a huge sovereign fund. They produce oil. They export some of it.
There are 5 million people in that country. Just so that as we keep discussing,
bear that in mind. To go to Nigeria population, eh?
Yes, there are 5 million people in that country. But then we continue.
And then they are heavily taxed, but they still get to enjoy some of the best, perks of what their government offers. For example, they have very nice education systems. Free even. They have a very nice NHIF ya huko kwao venye nasawa venye naitwa. It's free and you can walk in there, get treated and so on and so forth. Yet we are a country of 50 million people. Actually, I hear we're almost now 60. 60 million people. We are having trouble just even taxing a majority of us. Then the little that we collect, we are squandering it. So I'd like to ask this question. Ni shetani mgani alituroga?
No, si shetani bro. Si shetani. Those
Ni
countries.
mrogi mgani alituroga?
The reason why those countries can do that, they don't have the youth bulge that we have. When you have 70% of the population young, those people don't pay taxes because they don't work, just so that you understand. And very many of them are not employed.
When you have what? 70 what?
% of your population being youthful, if 70% were the adults, then that tax story would be different.
Okay.
Those countries, when they're talking about Sweden, Finland, do you know what their VAT is? 25%. Forget the 16% you're complaining about.
They're heavily taxed.
Yes. Services are provided. You see? There's a responsibility. The sovereign fund of Norway that you speak of, every Norwegian is a dollar millionaire.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Na hata ukiongeza foreigners hiyo bado watakuwa millionaires.
Okay, now look at ours is reverse. If we look at our debt portfolio, 12 trillion, how much does each Kenyan owe?
So first of all, we have a sovereign debt.
Not a sovereign fund. So
if everyone was to get that would be dollar millionaire, paupers. We are paupers, yani, properly. But you get the frustration I'm trying to
you see, no, the point is they have enough money to share.
Yeah.
And that's the problem we have. We simply don't have enough money to go around. Yeah. If you have money, you're living a comfortable life. You have access to healthcare. You have access to education. Your roads are well maintained, etc.
Education is free.
You have access to money. You have less trouble.
Yeah.
So if you are asked out of this much, could you give us 40%, 45% as tax? We're like, okay, because you don't need the money. You already have enough. For even that 45% to give it away.
Right.
In this particular scenario for our country, I don't think we are there yet. Yeah. When we look at just levels of poverty, people living is it below now $2? Is that the level of poverty?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you see then a majority of your people actually in that particular side, then you have a problem. There's a time, for example, CBK was saying from their data, guys who whose accounts at least have 100K or more, it was some very low figure. To just tell you that people don't actually have the money.
People are broke.
Yeah, people don't have that money. Yeah.
So solutions, Kanye. How if you were to advise this government, if you were the CS today, how would you help this country get out of the trenches?
Okay, I like asking that question. I'm on this side. In fact, I hope to meet Commissioner General KRA this week when they're having the KRA summit, and that is one of the questions I want to ask him, and even record a podcast with him so that he also tells me what he's trying to do. But anyway, now that the question is to me, I guess let's start even with the VAT and excise duty rates. Yeah, we may need to have a slight adjustment, perhaps upwards.
Do you mean increase?
Increase.
Okay.
Yeah? Even if it is just a slight increase. And tied to what World Bank is trying to say. Of course, it may have some negative effects, but again, it's one of the ways to just collect more revenue. Yeah? Our national medium-term revenue strategy talks of a downward trend. Basically, reduce from 16%, go downwards. So maybe that's one of the things that can be done. 2, I think double up on digitization and in the ways that we are collecting revenue. Have more sites. We are seeing government, for example, have an initiative for guys who are paying monthly rental income tax to ensure that they are mapped properly, and everybody who owns then a house or a kibanda or they are paying actual taxes. The same effort, of course, is going towards the VAT that we've spoken about. And it's not just Kenya only who are trying to have electronic tax invoice management systems. So that's a step in the right direction. For corporate tax and for payroll taxes, I think we could try what we did around COVID time. Try reduce it, and to encourage more disposable income. So then this more disposable income can perhaps be collected on this other side of consumption in terms of consumption taxes. If I have money to spend, then I will spend. So you can actually collect more tax on this other side. Yeah. So that might also work. Might also work. And then, of course, now the national conversation of corruption and tax. And just saying, how then does, for example, the guys who are doing the budgeting and the spending work together with the guys who are collecting the taxes, so that the person who's collecting the taxes is also saying, this is the feedback we are getting when we try to collect tax on your behalf, that our tax is not being used well, our tax is being wasted, and such stories. So then that conversation helps me, who is an ordinary citizen, to say at least there's some effort towards reducing wastage, and therefore there's incentive to continue paying more taxes. So those are just some of the few things that I see that could be implemented, and perhaps we could see an increase in collection of our taxes.
I actually, you're onto something there as far as increasing taxes, VAT tax and excise duty. That one actually makes sense. And then reducing the tax on the payroll, that actually for me might be a way forward, because Kenyans, we like seeing the money coming through, so that now we can spend it. So we can go out, we can go to the parks, we can go to the we can buy more cars, we can buy houses and so on and so forth, as opposed to it being deducted directly from our salaries. That actually can be a very good idea. Nikupatia namba ya chairman.
No, at the same time, do you know how much KRA collected out of their whistleblowing mechanism?
I don't know.
8.6 billion. Yeah. And what that tells me is that we still have, and they also talk about our tax to GDP ratio, which is very small at about, I think, 14, and we are hoping to get to what some people will tell you at 15-16%, but we should be moving towards South Africa, which is 20+% in terms of our tax to GDP ratio. So it basically means there's a lot of people who are supposed to be paying taxes when you look at our economy and how it is performing, but they're not yet into the tax bracket. So a little bit of whistleblowing on one side, and the other side also ensuring that these people who ought to be paying taxes are paying taxes. How do we tighten those loopholes? How do we ensure that everyone is actually paying their fair share? If you're getting any income out of this country, you ought to be paying your taxes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Alex Kanye for president. So we can see how indeed we can actually get things rolling. But anyway, this is where we come to an end as far as the conversation is concerned. But kama kawaida, karibu tena. Let's continue the conversation.
Asante.
Right now, though, here's the news with Winnie Maganga.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Police have arrested a man in Nairobi after he was found with parts of vandalized Dedan Kimathi statue, shocking city residents and Kenyans at large. According to Nairobi County Government Protocol Officer Rodriguez Lunalo, the suspect was intercepted on Sunday, October 12, 2025, while carrying a suspicious sack near Kimathi Street in the Central Business District. Lunalo said county officers on routine patrol noticed the man acting suspiciously and decided to question him. Upon inspection, they discovered that the sack contained parts of Dedan Kimathi statue. President William Ruto's move to convince KANU chairman Gideon Moi to abandon his senatorial bid and join his broad-based government is being viewed as a calculated political strategy ahead of the 2027 elections. Political risk analyst Dismas Mukua described Ruto as a master in coming up with strategic narratives, but noted that the president is likely to shift from dynasty versus hustler message, saying it may not work again.
Before you go to the opposition, when you look at President Ruto, in my view, is a master in coming up with strategic narratives. The last election was all about hustlers and dynasties. And President Ruto made everybody believe that the economic situation we're experiencing was because of the so-called dynasties. And he was able to rally the entire nation. He came with a very powerful message, which was both emotional and rational. So he galvanized everybody, and he was able to go to State House. But having settled at State House, he's looking at the 2027 variables, and he says that message is not going to sell again. He has to come up with a new message, and he has just realized that while he describes himself as a hustler, you've got the so-called dynasties who can actually run him out of town.
President William Ruto has expressed concern over poor state of Kenya's capital, Nairobi, pledging to restore its image and elevate it to global standards. Speaking at the African Inland Church Ziwani's 7th anniversary in Nairobi on Sunday, the president said he has held discussions with Governor Johnson Sakaja and other county leaders on plans to clean up and beautify the city. Ruto added that the national government will work jointly with the Nairobi County Administration and the private sector to roll out a coordinated cleanup and transformation program.
We must make sure that Nairobi presents the right image of the Republic of Kenya. Mimi nimeketi chini na hawa viongozi, nimeketi chini na MCS, walikuja kuniona, nimeketi chini na governor, nimeketi chini na wabunge wa Nairobi, na tumekubaliana mambo matatu ya muhimu ambayo national government itasaidiana na county government kuyatimiza. Jambo la kwanza ni kusafisha mji wa Nairobi. Nairobi cannot continue to be the city in the filth.
Police have arrested a university student accused of running an elaborate online scam selling fake Kenya National Examination Council papers. According to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the suspect, Crispinus Nadafu, a fourth-year student at Meru University of Science and Technology, was arrested in Kianjai, Tigania West Sub-County following an operation by detectives. The DCI said Nadafu is the mastermind behind an online syndicate operating under the banner The Teachers NEC Exams 2025. Nadafu is currently in custody, undergoing processing pending arraignment. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation. The time right now is 6 minutes past 9 o'clock. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. City Muga is in the studio. We were just having a conversation previously about taxes, and man, oh man, Alex Kanya has actually opened my eyes and ears and brain to a lot of issues I didn't think I know, but conversation for a different time. Right now, we do have the head of PR and events at Comex Homes. We want to assess affordable housing and potential investments in Kenya. Joy Irungu, karibu tena sana from Comex Homes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mbuvi.
Karibu tena sana. Pleasure to have you here with us.
Santi.
Let's talk about Comex Homes first of all, what you're all about, so that we can understand the perspective from which you're going to be talking about affordable housing.
Yeah. So Comex Homes, we're property developers. What we do, we build, we sell, and we manage property. We call it, we build affordable, luxurious homes in the sense that we also include amenities like swimming pool, gyms, and all that, as well as making the units very affordable and in prime locations within the CBD. Yeah.
Within the CBD?
Yeah, very close proximity to the CBD.
So give us a property or two that you've actually developed so we can visualize some of your good works.
Okay. Yeah. We have the Nyayo View Suites, phase 1. We actually handed it over last year. It's actually facing Nyayo Stadium. So for the tenants there, wakitaka kuona ball, very quick access.
Also from my balcony, I can just be watching.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have that. We have Balozi Suites in South B, which will be handing over this year, late November. And we have the Reveal in Ngong Road and our recent baby, Astana residence in Ngara. So yeah, so as you can like see the locations, we are really, really close to CBD, making it quick access for people, young professionals who work within, the city center. Yeah.
Right. And you said you have amenities such as gyms, swimming pools. What else are we looking at from a Comex home?
Besides those, we have rooftop restaurants. We have lounge areas, co-working space areas. So what we realized is a lot of young people right now are doing remote jobs and they're really confined in their homes. This is creating a lot of depression and everything, lack of kujuana na watu, interact with a lot of people. So we created co-working space areas for them to interact with the other tenants and also work in those areas. Yeah.
So I don't have to work in my bedroom. I can go to a co-working space.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Good stuff.
Rooftop restaurant.
Yeah.
And a lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
residence lounge.
I saw something similar in Ghana. I honestly didn't think it's happening here in Kenya.
It is.
I saw this residential complex, and then they have those amenities you were talking about. I was like, okay, yote kwa estate yetu. Ni kazi mingi sana. Yeah, but I mean, hearing how you've described them and the purpose for which they're built, it actually does make sense.
Yeah. So it's all about most of the developers, when they just build, it's all about now bringing profits and everything. You don't consider the people who are going to stay there. You just think about the investors who are buying it. So it's all round for us. We think about the investors, how they're going to get their returns and profits, and also we think about the tenants who are in there. Okay, also not forgetting, with the tenants, we also have some community activities that they normally do.
Such as?
It depends. So they can have a painting session in the rooftop, because they have a specifically management company for that called Comics Living. They handle everything. Yeah.
Wow. So you're all round, basically, you guys.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Now, are you also developing other areas outside Nairobi, or is it just Tao?
Yeah. Currently, it's just within Nairobi. We're just akikishaing the profit that investors are getting is high, and also for the tenants, they're within quick access to their workplaces or schools.
Can I buy a property, an apartment, for example, in any of your establishments? Because you've been mentioning people who are renting and investors, but can I come and buy now that I've known about you? Can I walk into Comex Home and say, "Kuna nyumba nimesikia mmesema iko Ngara"? Can I purchase that?
Yes, you can actually come in. So our offices are at Telcom Plaza. You can walk into our offices, Telcom Plaza, first floor, Comex Homes, or you can just go to the site of the project that you really want. There are people who will definitely assist you. It's a kidogo process. Just documentation, like your ID, your carry pin. Then there's a person who will walk you through, who will show you the floor plan. Then choose a unit that you want, the floor that you want, alafu tuendelee sasa na process.
I guess the next question is, how much do they cost? Give us a range.
So our projects cost from 2.2 to 5.5.
No way.
True. That's
a
real definition of affordable housing. How affordable housings range from 1 million to 5 million.
Yeah. Actually, I was expecting you to be like, so a basic unit will cost you like 8 million. Then like the really premium one is like 17, 20 million. But you're saying 2.2 what?
2.2 to 5.5.
How do you manage to get your costs to that level?
Of
is it a
selling?
state secret? Yes, because when someone hears of a unit costing 2.5 million, you ask, are you sure it is 2.5 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions like that. Some people even think we are crooks because of selling kidogo units with kidogo prices.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just looking at a lot of developing, the prices hike because of where you get your materials and all that. As you just learn how to subsidize, get the right people to give you these supplies, workmanship and all that, unajipata you get that you're building houses that are equivalently affordable for the wananchi. And to note, we actually don't hike the prices as the units go higher. So that's another thing a lot of people get.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Most developers, as the unit goes high, the price the floors.
Oh, you mean like from first floor is not the same as third floor?
As fifth floor and above.
Okay.
For us, it's all constant, no interest when it comes to some specific things. So yeah.
So essentially, whatever you say the price of the unit is, it remains constant.
Constant along the floors. If it's higher or lower.
So I can get a penthouse for the same amount.
Exactly.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah.
But there's something I want to understand. I want to tell us a little bit about Comex and how you started, what got you into development. I'm interested. I'd like to know. And what got you into thinking about reasonably priced units that people within a large range can actually afford to buy, when there are options that you would have done something different. Why? That's what I'd like you to tell us.
So,
and take your time.
Sawa. So Comex Homes started with Comex Ceramics and also doing constructions for other people. So in the process of constructing apartments for other developers, as when you realize, okay, Sawa, we've been doing this and I think we can get them into the market and do affordable housing. When it comes to the structure and also the amenities, this is an idea our CEO got from the apartments in Dubai. When you look at the Dubai apartments and what we're doing, it's quite very similar. So as we continued...
What is it about the Dubai apartments that made them unique?
When you come into our studios, it's more like when you enter, you'll be like, is it a hotel suite or is it a home? So those are some of the structures making it very, very unique for people, and with the amenities that we're bringing in. So yeah, these are some of the things that we're doing. So after that, what else? Yeah, so we decided, okay, why not? Let's get into this affordable housing and make it. What you're also trying to do is to make it very easy for other people who are in low class and middle class to afford units. As you look at what is happening right now in Kenya, the numbers of people are really, really growing in the place where accommodation for a lot of people is not, people are not getting enough accommodation. That is why the affordable housing. So we figured, okay, why don't we do this? And to talk kwa ile narrative of the elderly are the people who can own or buy real estate, and also reach out to the young people and tell them, you know what, hata nyinyi, you can, regardless of where you are, you can get a unit. And yeah, Comex Home started with Nyayo V Suites 1, Phase 1. And within 1 year, we were totally sold out. So from there, we started growing slowly by slowly.
So, word of mouth. You have a product that is exactly what you said it was. People buy it, others see it, and they realize, this is real. Let me explain why I'm asking. The line of business that you are in, unfortunately, in this country, is not always trusted.
Yeah, true.
There are very many people who claim and say the same things you're saying, but there are very many people who've been burnt as a result of it. The worst culprits are those who sell land. Okay? The vast majority of people who sell land are honest and people get what they want. But you don't need many. You just need 1 or 2 people. Or just not more than 2. And suddenly that entire industry has a bad reputation. And nobody even bothers to consider the others who are in that industry who actually do exactly what they promise and fulfill the promises that they made. Now, let me ask the other question. When you look at the units that you build, which is the tallest unit that you've actually ever built?
The tallest will probably be the one that we're starting right now, standard residence, which will be 28 floors. 28 floors, 3 floors being parking, then 23 floors being apartments. So that's basically our highest that we're doing right now. Others are 15 floors, 16 floors. Yeah.
You know why I'm nodding? Is because when I first experienced what you call high-rise buildings was not in this country. It was actually in Malaysia. And it was, yes, that was their response to low-cost housing. You find a 30-story building, you just look at it, you feel dizzy. Okay? But when you look at what we call the economies of scale, it makes a lot of sense. And if the building is actually good, you see, the area it occupies and what the building then becomes, there's a lot of room that is left for other amenities if you so wish to have them within that same vicinity. So it made a lot of sense, because for the longest time when we didn't have a big population, we built horizontally. See, now we're building vertically. Yes, and it makes perfect sense. What prevents you from moving to other parts of the country? Say some of the bigger towns.
Okay. There's nothing per se that is holding us, but I guess it's all about what Comex Homes has been selling when it comes to prime locations. We've been focusing a lot to proximities within CBD. Well, maybe in the near future we can look towards other places, because yeah, it's true there's some other places, Kitengela and all those, which are really, really growing, and availability of land. So maybe in the near future.
We were having a conversation here last week, I think it was on Friday. We were talking about this whole issue of affordable housing and more or less development around Nairobi. And one thing that came out was the fact that right now Nairobi is a bit squeezed. If you look at even the environs now, kuna places it's not becoming worse, it's becoming overcrowded. I actually had a conversation with someone last week who was saying that perhaps Kilimani is going to become the new slum area. Itakuwa pipeline imeomoka. That is the word they used. Do you think that is so? And perhaps I will tie it to the question that CT has asked. Why not figure out other places that we can actually go and develop so that it can become more attractive? We're talking about areas along Kangundu Road. They're talking about Kitengela, like you've rightly mentioned, and even Machakos County, the CBD of Machakos. Wachana na hii mlolongo kwenda hivyo. But you get what I mean. Sabaki area, which is next to Syokimau, develop those particular areas so that we can try and decongest the city. Because we have very good amenities in these particular areas, and the infrastructure has grown over the years. We have an expressway now. You can get to town in X amount of time. Is it something that we can consider, and actually even your industry as property developers, to come and say, guys, can we start moving outside Nairobi?
Yeah, it's something we are actually thinking about and considering it. So Mbuvi, let me just say this. With the units that we build, we do studios and 1 bedroom. Remember, the people who are renting out these spaces we're looking at young professionals and students to rent out these places. When we think about moving to Syokimau, Kangundu Road, these are places, when you look at the houses that are within those areas, these are family houses. These are big mansionettes or 3-bedroom units and all that. That is not where we really, maybe in the near future we'll want to go there, but as per now, these are not places we want to move quickly towards.
Those mansionettes you've mentioned, see, they have kids. Those kids will eventually grow. See, they will need houses to get away from, the crib.
Okay, true, I understand. But when you look at the areas we've set up our projects, there's so many schools around. There's Strathmore, there's Dexter, there's all these schools around. When you go to Syokimau, think about the student who's coming from Kenya Mass, KCA to come to Syokimau. That's a whole lot long distance. Or somebody who's just gotten, a young professional who's just gotten a job in CBD. That person hana hiyo pesa mingi kushindanga ati logistics, moving around and doing and all that. So these are some of the things that we're considering. As I said earlier, we're not only considering the investors. Yes, we want them to get profit, and we actually give them good profit, but we're also considering the tenants who want to stay there, because these are the same tenants who are giving returns on investments to our investors. So
you see, the question that I had asked earlier on, you've actually made it more relevant now. When previously there was only just one university in the entire country, your argument could not have been opposed in any way. However, because we have universities all over the country, literally, part of the problem that many of these universities have are housing issues. Once upon a time, universities provided accommodation for the students. There are more students coming into the university than the units that are required. So indeed there is a market, in my opinion, just from the student perspective. And there are people who have gone into that market of creating dwelling places for students. I see those buildings across this particular town. Why do I ask this question? When somebody wants to expand, do you focus on a place that is already well served, or do you move to a place that needs that service but hasn't quite got enough of it?
You move to a place where they need the service. Very true. And that's why I said we are looking into, in the near future, moving into that. And yes, true, there are some people who've gone ahead and they've gone to build up structures in these areas. As per now, what Comex Homes is looking at is a specific promise that we've made to investors, particularly at this moment. In the near future, maybe 2-3 years to come, we'll move towards that. So
right now, the biggest competition to affordable housing is the government. Your affordable housing is the GAVA. How would you say that your units compare to those sons of GAVA? Because government is really trying, and them, they're trying to provide it to everyone. You're going for, the guys who are trying to work from home.
Have you seen the smile?
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the response.
You're waiting for this answer.
I'm waiting for the response.
I mean, when we talk about affordable housing, basically, the benchmark can be anybody at this particular point in time, because the government has been doing affordable housing for decades now. But now we're having private sector also getting into that particular business. So when you talk about affordable housing, do you compare to what the government, do you match to what the government is doing?
In terms of costs, what affordable, as I said earlier, affordable housing costs is a range between 1 million to 5 million. So within the budget of costs, yes, probably we lie towards the same thing as the government. But when it comes to the interiors of the units and the amenities, so we're differing there because I don't want to say negative stuff about that, but
I think what you're probably trying to say is the needs of your clients. They are specific, right? And that is why you'd say that your designs perhaps are different from this.
Are very different, are very different, and the amenities that we put inside. So when you look at the government affordable housing, there's some amenities that they don't have. That's why we refer ourselves as affordable, but also luxurious. Housing for Comex homes, because we combine a bit of affordable when it comes to cost and everything, but also we bring in this structure of luxury living.
All right. Fair enough. So basically you're saying that your clientele is different.
Actually, from what I hear, what we're actually being told is that the market for affordable housing exists. And there is a diversity. So there may actually be no real competition so to speak. Because if you look at what the government is offering and what they are offering, it's affordable housing, yes, but with a twist to it. Now, when you look at the ecosystem of what we call, this is an academic question I'm asking, so it doesn't necessarily point to COMEX. There is a housing problem and it requires a solution. The government approach was to try and be part of the solution to that particular problem. Private investors such as yourself who get into this particular line of work, in your opinion, do you really think that they can be considered to be major players in trying to solve this housing problem? Because we do have a housing problem.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think we can be, as private developers, be part of this, because the sum of the people, exactly what they're doing, the government is doing, bringing affordable units, affordable housing for specific people to own, and it's the same thing as some of the private developers are doing. So yeah, we can partner in this. We can actually be part of the team players who are trying to reduce the increase the housing capacity of people. So
this line of work that you do you people have an organization that you belong to?
Organization in terms
like
of
the
CSR?
Kenyan Association of Private Developers, something of that sort?
Definitely.
Good. The reason why I ask is this: when you have a group and you provide a much needed service, then you have clout. It means you can effect policy. Now I'm going to ask you a more specific question. The bottlenecks that we've heard people talking about with regards to building in the city, primarily from the city government, primarily from those charged with ensuring that people build according to, one, the zoning laws that are there, the basic requirements of the building, and so forth. The stories that we hear are heart-wrenching, and some of them are like horror stories of the difficulties people go through just to put up a structure. Have you people experienced this difficulty that we hear, or these people telling us stories of another country and superimposing them into Kenya?
In terms of building
the difficulties of actually getting to put up a building.
Yeah, these are some of the disadvantages we have as property developers. It becomes, it is. We get challenges like this, delays on approvals. This happen, but tunapambana tu.
But does it interfere with the costs of actually putting up these structures?
Yeah, it does. It does, and delays. Actually, delays, because you'll find that we've probably told people we're going to complete a project within 2 years. Approvals take like 3-4 months. That's a delay to your investors. So there's something like that. There's people you call constructors to come help in, if as long as you're waiting for approvals and they're there, you've called them from work, you'll still have to pay them because they're there, so these are some of the things and challenges that we get, and yes, they literally cost us when it comes to developing. So
this the aspect of investment, we're looking at some of the practices that young people have is putting up Airbnbs, for example. Is it something that you guys are okay with? If I get a unit there, can I set up an Airbnb so that if I do get a client, I can actually make money from that particular unit?
Yes, we definitely allow Airbnbs. So once you get that unit, it's yours. That's your unit. So when we hand over the keys, whatever you decide to do with it, is up to you. As long as when you're putting up an Airbnb or you're going to run the unit by yourself, you adhere to the rules and regulations of the building. So we allow Airbnbs.
Can you run that unit for me if I have such a unit?
No, we don't run Airbnbs, but we run rentals. So if someone wants us to manage a rental for them, they want a tenant inside, we do.
What's the difference between an Airbnb and a rental? I thought you're paying rent on both.
A rental is an Airbnb is a furnished apartment or a furnished unit where people come, more of a staycation home. You have a day.
Staycation.
We call
it
staycation. We avoid the Airbnb. So you'll find somebody coming in for a day, 2 days, 3 days, or a week. Tenancy is someone who's actually living there. This is their home for an year, 2 years.
So you won't start running around after people who are coming there and living there on a daily basis. Ini kazi mingi.
As in?
You see, for an Airbnb, for instance, someone will get in and in a few hours they're out. So that's not something that you're going to run around.
No, we don't. We don't run many Airbnbs.
What are the other, when we talk about investment opportunities as far as these units are concerned, what other aspects are we looking at? Or are we talking about Comex Home developing property for me?
Sorry, please ask that.
Investment opportunities. What are some of the other investment opportunities available within the Comex Homes ecosystem?
Investment. So basically it's just real estate investment, housing and all that. We haven't moved towards other investments. So I guess that's what you're asking, right?
Yep.
Yes, so it's just housing, real estate.
Okay, you're putting up this building in a place called X. Okay,
give it a name. Let's say Sabaki.
Okay, you want to call it Sabaki, I want to call it X.
Let's call it Ruiru.
No, let's call it Sabaki X because I want the X to be in this story.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Sabaki X. And what process do you follow, to alert possible investors to know that you are putting up this particular unit? And what do you expect wannabe investor to do, one, to qualify as an investor and to be able to participate in this investment?
Okay, so I guess you're asking about the marketing strategy and also the process of
na ile pesa inahitajika mtu alipe na kadhalika.
Sawa.
Yes.
Kama iko pesa ya kulipwa.
Membership fee, things like that. Yes.
So how we market, basically for us, it's just social media and a lot of referrals. So we actually get a lot of referrals from our existing customers. That is the marketing angle that we do, and expos as well. So for you to own a unit with us, besides what I spoke earlier about, the registrations, the copy of your ID, KRA, email, and postal address and phone number for registration, we send you a sales agreement and an offer letter. With the sales agreement and the offer letter, you have like 14 days to look at it with a lawyer or yourself and then sign back as you pay a 25% deposit of the purchase price of the unit, depending on how much it is. So after that, installments are paid on a quarterly basis. So
So I can't pay on a monthly basis?
You can as well. So let's say your quarterly is around 300. Monthly, then you do 100.
300,000, not 300,000.
300,000.
Thank you so much. Yes.
So monthly, you need me to
do 100,000. Yeah,
Okay.
100,000. So, but then again, these are terms that we do on the contract, on the sales agreement. So you'll say, I don't want to do quarterly, I want to do monthly, and this is what you write, at least to make it legal. Yeah.
Okay. Now there's this 100K. Now
Kuna zenye zinakuja hata monthly 60K. Yeah.
So which means that if I want to pay you weekly, I can also pay you weekly.
City wants to make it granular.
No, I am because there are people who actually earn money in a way that makes it possible for them to pay weekly.
Okay. Yeah.
So you don't have to pay this huge lump sum at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Because if I'm paying you weekly, I'll be paying you 25,000.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to the end of the month, I paid you the 100,000.
Yeah.
So it's like
manageable amounts.
Yes,
Yeah.
but for them also, I'm doing them a favor. I'm giving them money in advance. Well in advance.
Yeah.
Yes, so you don't
True
have to
story.
wait until the end of the month, whether this lump sum you're waiting for, and which you can stress over. Yes.
So if you don't see 25 Gs on week 3, you call City. City, are you okay?
Yes. Is everything okay? I heard there was a. I hope it didn't involve you. Yes.
Kuna mali kulikuwa na flood.
Yes.
So yeah, you can actually do that. You can actually do that. At the end of the day, this is your home that you are longing to own.
Yeah.
So however you make payments, Wewe Tuma, it actually eases the burden if you pay more or frequently. Yeah.
City, please don't ask if you can pay daily. Oh, okay.
Once you get weekly, remember we started off with quarterly.
City anaweza enda mpaka inaweza kuwa granular. Can I pay hourly? Anyway, but that's on a light note. This whole issue of again, we're going back to housing. The house, do I call it crisis? Do I call it? I really don't know how. Let's have this conversation, and probably we shall be able to define it together. Whereby we're having all these structures coming up lately. Yeah, you're seeing in South Sea, for example, buildings are coming up. In Kilimani, buildings are coming up, and they're very beautiful houses. There's actually one next to where we are right now. Kunida Smoky Palevo, opposite that side of the road. Very many apartments, and they're empty. So I don't know if it's because there's a court case going on there. There's the place is haunted. I really don't know. But we're seeing a lot of these developments where houses have come up and they're empty. And pundits in the industry are saying it's because they're either expensive, built in the wrong areas, or for whatever reason. What do you think the reason could be?
So yes, maybe they are expensive. Another thing is, it depends how many rooms are there. If it's 3 and above, like, this is what I say. For you to build a 3-bedroom, it's good. It will bring the investor more return.
Yeah.
But then again, it will take a longer period for a tenant to come in. Look at it like this. 3 bedrooms are family homes. For a family person to move, to relocate from where they're staying right now to another rental apartment, inakonga a bit tricky, hectic, ngumu. Some of them really prefer, let me stay here and then maybe move into my own house. So that can be one of it as well. And maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe it's not yet, there are no approvals for completion are not yet done or given. So
okay, there's a question City asked earlier on. I don't believe there's an answer I was looking for there. If I'm in the diaspora, of which a lot of listeners currently right now are in the diaspora, and they probably want to develop their shags or their property in Sabaki, Ruiru, Tsiokimau, whatever, is it possible for them to engage with you guys so that they can give you X amount of money instead of giving my brother, who might end up drinking that amount of money, give you guys and tell you, cheki kuna kale kashamba kako pale Sabaki, please do something?
Yeah, sure, why not? You can as well do that. As I said earlier on, we started as constructors. We were constructing for other developers. So yes, if somebody feels like they need us to come through in terms of construction for them, they can reach us out and tutasaidiana panye itawezekana.
What about redesigning, and this is not just for you, but for the industry as a whole, redesigning areas? Do you have solutions that we can actually say that, look, Umoja right now looks the way it looks, but there's a way we can actually make this place better. The same thing they're doing with places like South Sea, although that's another different question I will also ask, and say, look, we need to redevelop Buruburu, or redevelop and redesign, not redevelop, but redesign these particular areas. Get in there so we can take care of the trash situation, for example, the sewerage situation, and see how we can actually make these places look even aesthetically appealing. Is this something that folks in your industry have actually thought about?
Actually, I don't know if I'm answering it correctly, but we can look at some places, maybe Donholm. Which other places have I seen? There are actually people who are bringing down old apartments. And
it's
building
actually happening
new
in
ones.
South Sea.
It is. Yeah, so these are some of the things that people are also trying. You find, like for us in South B, we've also pushed the project that you're finishing. We've also pushed for the roads to be made. So developers can help where they can, but then again, there's some things that also the government has to help. So we're trying in our department, in our job area, industry as developers.
Remember, I asked a question about this club you belong to, and you said there's such an association, isn't it? Call it a club. You see, the reason why I asked, if you look at professional bodies, one of the things professional bodies do is they push an agenda that meets, or rather seeks to enhance the benefits that the citizenry get. When you put up a high-rise building, it's on a piece of land that previously probably was one unit and one family staying. Now you multiply it by many factors, so there are more people. Road usage will increase, so which means the wear and tear on the road will be there. But the thing that often concerns me about developments is public areas. Many of the public areas that we've had in this city were long swallowed up by greedy individuals who think that building houses is more important than having recreational areas for people. That's one, too. But an association that is looking into the future to continue their business need to offer people not just a place to stay in, but wellness. Now, open spaces provide this. A place where children can go and kick the ball around, a place where you can actually just go and sit and do nothing, if that is what you want to do. There are benches there, a place where somebody who wants, there's something these fellows keep telling me about, there's something to eat called smoke-in. And then there's...
smoke-in. Smoky.
Yes, there's something they also call Mahai Pasua. They keep telling me this. It seems to be something people like. A place where when somebody is walking their dog, this smoking and my pasua can also be sold. What I'm trying to say is, an association such as yours can partner with other professional associations to make sure that public spaces actually exist, or the ones which existed are reclaimed. Because we don't just live so that we can go to our apartments or the houses we live in. It's important to have recreation, and not everybody can afford to join a gym. Okay? Now, my question. Do you think that this is something an association such as yours would consider? Because you are players in this particular industry, and you are, after all, looking after the interest of the people who are part and parcel of your investments.
Yeah, true. This I actually agree with you. So, City, yes, this is something that we would actually really want to venture in and make sure people get. So this is why, let me just say this. There's so many units apartments being built all over Nairobi, which is making it hard and difficult for a lot of things, maybe children's football places or basketball and all that. As we work towards trying to see if we can improve this is why we are creating apartments with things that are also, recreational centers. Like there's the gym, there's the playground probably for children in the apartment and all that. So as we work towards now creating all this, as ourselves, we can do something within the apartment that is also bringing recreational, for the community, for the people who are living there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
City, the club you're calling a club is actually an organization called the Kenya Property Developers Association. Their website is kpda.or.ke. Now, for what we were just talking about a couple of weeks ago, we started with an MCA here, and we're talking about building regulations, and we're talking about green buildings, those especially for developers who are using sustainable materials. For example, those who are considering some of those things we're talking about, amenities and the infrastructure, schools. As you're constructing this. Places, do you consider where the schools will be, the banks will be, the police stations are, and so on and so forth? And I guess that is where now your club stroke organization comes in, right? But when we talk about sustainability, do you consider first of all the materials that you use? I know you said affordable materials. Are we looking at materials that are actually safe for the environment? Friday was Mazingira Day, so are we looking at some of these things so we can make sure that at the end of the day, as we are constructing this affordable housing, we're also taking care of our environment?
Yes. So from the materials that we work with from start, these are things that we actually consider a lot. We've had cases of neighbors complaining, this developer is doing this, affecting this, breaking
polluting,
So we actually really consider our environment where we build, because most of the places that we are putting our projects around are home areas. Their children, their families and all that. So we really consider that a lot. And so our materials are very, as much as they're affordable, they're very
safe.
They're safe
for the environment.
Thank you for
and
that.
for us as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So
there is also another time, and this is in a previous station that I was working at. One thing that came out of our conversation is the fact that finishing is in Kenya sometimes is wanting. Unapata mtu amejenga nyumba mzuri sana, put up a very nice window, but the putty on the glass windows, it's like ilikuwa inafanywa na mtoto. You look at the walls, the painting, the floor, the finish, and basically the finishing is not pristine. Now you've said that your places are very luxurious. So the question I guess I'm asking is there an industry standard as to how buildings are supposed to be set up as far as the finishing is concerned and the aesthetic values within this building is concerned?
Yes, there is. You have to give your investor something very nice. So if your finishings are shady, then what have you been doing? So for us, what we do after completion of the project, once everything is done, we have 2 snaggings. We want
to what?
Snagging. Snagging is whereby you go through each unit, making sure everything is okay, from the grouting to the skirting to painting and all that.
Okay.
That is done with a salesperson and the the builders.
Okay.
After that, then the salesperson does the same thing with an investor, the investor of the unit. Why are we doing this? Because at the end of the day, what you're delivering needs to be quality. Remember, these people have trusted you with their finances, and they know you're going to give them something very quality. If you aren't going to give them something quality, si basi wangechukua pesa yao, they go do something else with it, So standards when it comes to interiors,
good. They are up there.
Yeah, they need to. They actually need to. Yeah.
I've also noticed one thing. We're having a lot of foreign developers. And the reason I'm asking this is because you even see they have put up very huge banners, sometimes even the flags of their countries, on these buildings that they're developing. And it's okay to be proud. I guess if I was doing something in America, I'd have the Kenyan flag somewhere. But I want to ask, are they making things cheaper for us or more expensive?
Honestly, more expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, more expensive. Because when you look at this, some of them, of our foreign developers, Some of them, as what I said the other time, just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
For them, the higher the apartment,
the more expensive
the more
the
expensive
unit.
the unit is going to be. The units are actually very expensive. Buying and also renting out. So these are some of the things I've actually personally faced with some investors who are with us. So there's a matter of cost, there's a matter of for the investors costing them, and some of these units take actually very long to get a tenant inside. So ROI inakuwa a bit challenging. Can stay for 3-4 months. So yeah.
Okay.
You know, we live in the information
But they
age.
have very nice apartments.
The foreign developers.
Acha tuseme hivyo.
We live in the information age. Eh? Now, there are things that one considers. See, there's a balance, okay, that people think of. It's something we talk about: living, working, playing, that balance. What you've been telling us so far, you try to meet that. You know why I'm going back to the organization that you belong to is for a simple reason. Housing is just part of the developments that take place in a city like this. That's why I talked about the planners. Because when you plan, you have an idea, you want a house, but you want other things that people may need to complement the housing. All right? Now, there are people in this country who put up shopping malls. There are those who put up commuter terminals. There are those who put up schools. Do you collect data with regards to who it is or what it is that exists that one would benefit your would-be investors, and how it will also complement some of these services that other people have invested in?
I think I didn't get that.
Okay. Research. You want to put up a building.
Yeah.
There's research that goes around. You involve yourself in before you put up that building. And I'm asking the question. Things like a shopping mall, things like a school,
a bank,
a bus terminal. Are these factors considered in your research when you are researching so that you put up a building that will meet the needs of your investors? Is that simpler to understand?
Yeah.
And please don't give me a yes answer. I want you to walk and give me in details what you do.
Details from how we start and do
No.
research. So,
how you do it and just in a summary how you do it.
Yeah.
And how, yes.
So yes, City, we actually look to about we actually consider that in our research before we do the development. One, remember, when we break down the catalogs and tell investors about the return on investments, we have to give them what we're going to give them, the ROI, how the ROI should be. So first of all, you do research depending on the environment. If it's rental, this is how much we're going to give you, depending on the area of the places. Two, when it comes to now things like schools, banks, and all that, this is some of our marketing areas, because a lot of people will consider getting an investment close to a hospital. That way, if in case of anything, there's quick access. Schools, we actually have parents who actually come and buy units for their children there because there's Strathmore, there's the Riara just there. Wanajua, it's going to be very easy for my kid. So yes, we actually look at this. These are some of the marketing strategies that we have. So if we do not do research on this stuff, then what are we selling to our investors? Just houses.
Actually, Kitambo, and perhaps, I don't know if this is how it used to happen, but yeah, let me say it either way, where someone would put up a business because they're looking at the potential customers in an area. So for example, a bank will come and open here because they're saying, kuna manyumba mingi hapa, so we'll get customers. A school will be constructed here because kuna manyumba mingi hapa, kwezi kwa watoto wanataka kwenda shule. But I like now the way things are happening, whereby property developers are actually saying, you know what, there are universities there are schools there, there are banks there. So that means people will need to live in this particular area. Let's go set up shop there.
Usually you will find that some of those areas already had housing developments, but they met the needs of an earlier time.
A different population.
A different population, a different, completely different demographic, completely different. But when you look at that need, it also met the need of a population of Nairobi at that time. The population of Nairobi at this time is completely different.
Yeah.
And the diversity of needs is also very different. That's why I asked the question, because some thought process has to go into you don't just take money and start putting up a building because you feel like it. No. You must have understood very many competing variables for you to understand that this thing will actually make business sense. Yes.
Do you believe that there are some serious unethical practices within the industry of property development? For example, setting up buildings where they're not supposed to be. We're talking about riparian land, for example, or next to a barracks. Just the other day on Friday, I believe it was, we were reading a story where we were seeing this development being set up next to the Army Airbase, in Isili, and I was asking myself, Kwani, by the time, and it's a crime, why would Comex Home, for example, want to set up something next to a barracks or next to the airbase? Yet you know that this is actually, is there a regulation of sorts, or a prefect, let me call them that, an authority within amongst yourselves that you can actually say, nimeona Comex Home kitu mnafanya pale George Padmore Road, si poa.
I'm not sure if there's some corporation who does that. But yes, it's true. This is happening. For me,
some sort of self-regulation.
Yeah. For me, the first question would be, who is giving them the approvals? Because it's really upsetting seeing a whole structure being built, and after some few months it goes down. Who was the person who was approving this thing? Who did this? It all goes back to, how can I say it? Oh my God, how can I say this?
Because there's a lot of corruption there.
A lot of corruption. There's a lot of corruption going on. So it's just about you and what you stand for. Are you just willing to come and get money for yourself, make your own profits, and then somebody else will suffer months down the line? Are you just that heartless? So it's really hurtful. It really hurts me sometimes when I see this. But who is, at the end of the day, who is allowing these approvals? Why are you doing this? Why are you going through corruptions at the cost of people's lives?
Actually, as a matter of fact, there's also an ongoing conversation about Wilson Airport. And I'm sure you've come across it. Around Wilson, a lot of properties have been set up there, literally kwa barabara ya ndege, flight path, yes. They've set up these buildings on the flight path, and we've known of this KPDA that has existed for a while now, and no one seems to be pointing fingers. And I think there needs to be some sort of conversation where we can have self-regulation even before we have government regulating. For example, in media, apart from CA, we have the MCK, that is the Media Council of Kenya. Then we have the Media Owners Association. These are literally people who will check each other so that we can ensure that there's accountability, so that by the time it's getting to the government, we can actually even say shida ni yule tumejaribu kumwambia amekataa kusikia.
But Paul, the problem is you can't have such a problem like the one you're referring to without the involvement of people in government. It is not possible. Because the licensing body, the person who gives you the authority to build, full well that there's an airport. There's nothing you don't know. There are codes and rules governing the building, putting up of buildings in that region. You know all this. Now, somebody may be a rogue investor, somebody who doesn't really care very much about rules, but that rogue investor is enabled by people within the government structure, whether it's the county government or whoever else, because in the absence of that, it is impossible for them to do what they've done.
Yes. True story. And that is why I was saying that perhaps there should be that's why I'm saying we need to have that conversation, so we can start having these prefects to ensure that indeed we can self-govern before we even get to the government. Now, as we have about 2 or so minutes, what is that one thing you'd like us to know about Comex Homes that is probably not widely known, or probably something upcoming investment or an opportunity that is available for Kenyans?
So, first of all, we have have our newest baby, Astana Residence. Anyone who is looking to invest in 1-bedroom and studio apartments at affordable prices within Ngara, you can reach us out on our social media handles, Comex Homes, or our website, www.comexhomes.ke, or visit our offices at Telcom Plaza, first floor. So the narrative has been changed. Housing and owning houses are no longer for the elderly. Even us as the young people, we can invest. We can call something our own at this small at the state that we're in right now. It's a little bit. It just takes a little bit of strength and kidogo pesa from your pocket.
Yeah.
And then we'll become owners and investors ourselves. So yeah, let's invest in real estate. One thing is, real estate will never flop. People will always want houses, so it's a perfect investment that you'll ever want, and it's a long-term investment. And if you're looking for real estate investment, come to Comex Homes. We will be there to guide you, walk the journey with you. And yeah,
no, umesema kuna lipa polepole.
Kuna lipa installments, yeah. And you can actually pay in installments, which are quarterly installments after your 25% deposit. So kuja tutembea, we walk this journey together, and yeah, we will be glad to see you own a home and a property.
All right, that is Joy Rungu from Comex Homes. This is where we come to a stop. Thank you so much for coming through, and thank you for this conversation. City, it's time for us to say hasta la vista.
To say what?
To say kwaheri yani. Okay. Or in Nini they say, in Russian they say arrivederci.
Russian.
Okay. You know what? Arrivederci.